across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh my God, it's me. Yes, I'm back. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I am your returning anti-hero host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way to 10 o'clock. Stand by for 3 thrilling hours of news, views, fun and fury. I got 2 weeks worth of rage to get out of me, so stay tuned. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can send me a WhatsApp voice note on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Monday, September the 8th. Here's what's coming up. As is traditional with this Labour government, new Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood started with a lie, gaslighting us with the absurd notion that her horrendously hopeless predecessor, Yvette Cooper, left her, and I quote, strong foundations on which to build a golden migrant crisis-free future. Yeah, right. Strong foundations, or, after Cooper's calamity, is this escalating cross-channel chaos getting worse by the day? Let me know what you think. 0344 499 1000. It certainly got worse yesterday as nearly 1,100 foreigners arrived illegally, the second highest number in a single day this year. Is Ms. Mahmood going to leave the ECHR, the European Court of Human Rights? No. Therefore, doomed to tinker around the edges, her first exciting announcement was to reveal that she's in talks to extend the laughably useless one-in, one-out deal with France to Germany. Great! That should do the trick. In the 2 months since laugh-a-decade comedy double act Keir and Cooper launched their groundbreaking Swap a Migrant scheme with little mini Macron, the score so far is 4,600 in, none out. What a sick joke. 0344 499 1000. In other news, while the likes of Crazy Ed Miliband and dopey Diane Abbott hail Angela Rayner as a colossus of the Labour movement and weep over the tragedy of her sad downfall, is the former Deputy Prime Minister really much more than a two-bit liar who, many would say, simply got caught fiddling her stamp duty taxes? If this titan of trade unionism just made an honest mistake, why did she have to walk the plank? This woeful working-class hero was forced to quit because she'd clearly done wrong. Is a police investigation into this preposterous woman's labyrinthine property arrangements called for? 0344 499 1000. A police probe into Angela Rayner. What do you reckon? But of course, in the twisted, topsy-turvy world of Labour, a political powerhouse has been cruelly felled by the forces of the right, including the Prime Minister. Now a battle looms for the position of Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, with voices from the left and the right vowing to screw Starmer up. And when I say screw Starmer up, they used a different word beginning with F. What a shame. 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, Fury as a senior judge wishes a 7/7 bombing mastermind all the best for the future. What on earth was Sir Robert J thinking? Is this more evidence that Britain's silent crisis is a left-wing judiciary that sympathises with our enemies? 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, in an hour or so, a return to the show of Britain's greatest musical politician, Andrea Jenkins, who, after her electrifying performances at the Reform Conference, is going to sing for us. I don't know what she's going to sing. She's promised she's going to surprise me, so that'll be something to look forward to. I mean it. She was amazing. Did you see her? She can sure as hell sing. In between anthems, though, I will find out what the greater Lincolnshire mayor thinks about Labour's pledge to put asylum seekers into disused military bases, which sounded like a decent way to bring down the £5.7 million a night migrants' hotel bill, until Defence Secretary John Healey did the TV rounds yesterday and watered it down to he was merely looking at the plan. When pressed, he said, "I'm seriously looking at it." Big deal. When is this government going to stop looking at plans and actually carry them out? When are they going to stop talking about stuff and actually do something? 0344 499 1000. And, by the way, now that Keir's magical reset is underway and we're apparently into phase 2 of his dynamic administration. Did anyone notice phase 1? No, me neither. 0344 499 1000. Plus, the former senior policewoman who was visited by cops investigating her dead-naming some bloke who now calls himself Frida. The nature of her alleged hate crime, she called Frida Fred. South Wales police have now dropped the case. This was on social media, by the way. She called Frida Fred. South Wales police went round to her house and said, "You're being investigated for a hate crime." Why is that a hate crime? South Wales police now have dropped the case. Well, welcome to the real world. But why did they ever start it? 0344 499 1000. And finally, Kinsey Schofield on Prince Harry's regal visit to Britain. 4 days in which he may or may not see his father and certainly won't see his brother. And also the increasingly baffling nature of Meghan's bizarre brand as ever. Marmalade for $9, anyone? No, me neither. Can't imagine why it hasn't sold out. Something to do with the price, perhaps. $9 for a jar of marmalade. That's the latest new product. And for the first time ever, as ever, hasn't sold out instantly. So that's got to be a bad sign, right? But what is this as ever brand all about? You tell me. 0344 499 1000. All that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Monday night together. And she's here in the nick of time. We've been waiting. We've been hanging on the edge. She's been working with my old friend Piers Morgan, but she's made it. So a warm welcome back to my show to Talk's fabulous international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Hello, Isabel.
Oh my gosh, I'm really wound up. We haven't even started the show because Piers has, well, let's just say he's had some people on his show who are in total denial about the state of our country. But I know that you and I are going to agree on most of that. And welcome back. I hope that you actually got out of the country for a short while and experienced something different.
Well, you're not fully aware of my circumstances. I have an ancient dog that's nearly 14, and we can't leave him with anyone else. So I'm banned from leaving the country. Well, it's the same. You got a Cocker Spaniel, right? I have a Cocker Spaniel called Chaz. So we had to take him to Cornwall, where he had a lovely time going on 20-yard walks that take about 3 hours. But we took him to quite a few restaurants. So I was stuck in the country. But Cornwall, if you live in London, is like a different country, and very nice it is too. But it was interesting being out of the loop, as it were, watching what was going on. And I mean, when you're not doing it day in, day out like we usually do, just watching this clown show from afar, you just go, oh my God, what on earth is going on? Let's kick off with one of the aspects of this ongoing shambles, and that is, of course, the migrant crisis. We've got a new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, who I make no hesitation in saying started her tenure with a lie. What is it with this government? They just lie to us. They stare us in the face. She actually announced today that Yvette Cooper, her esteemed predecessor, has left her with, and I quote, strong foundations on which to build a migrant crisis-free future. That's just a lie, isn't it? It's just a lie. Yvette Cooper was a catastrophe. That's why she got kicked out. As a lot of political observers have been saying, this is the first time in British political history that becoming Foreign Secretary was a definite demotion. because she was just out of her depth with the migrant crisis. Shabana Mahmood won't leave the ECHR. Her first announcement was, I'm going to take that one-in, one-out scheme that we've got with France and I'm going to extend it with Germany. After 2 months, one in, one out. Our deal with France is 4,600 in, none out. So it's going to be great to extend that to Germany. The point being, Isabel, is Shabana Mahmood, who won't leave the ECHR, just like Keir, just like Yvette, is doomed to tinker round the edges. She will not solve this crisis.
I genuinely couldn't believe it when I saw them boasting that they're going to extend the one in, one out scheme to Germany. I mean, we've got zero evidence that one in, one out even works as it's intended to work. As you said, 0 out and thousands in. And the whole concept of it, in any case, is fundamentally flawed, because all it does is keep us at a stasis, and that's if it worked perfectly and literally one in was replaced by one out. And that's not a desirable endpoint as far as I think most of the population are concerned. And you're right. I mean, the idea that Yvette Cooper has left the new Home Secretary with strong foundations, these are foundations made of tissue paper, or perhaps I should say toilet paper. I mean, they are not solid foundations by any stretch of the imagination. I have heard so many people say in the last 48 hours, so many of the informed commentariat, that Shabana Mahmood is, quote, hard as nails, that she has a reputation for getting things done. And I must admit, I've never met her. I've seen more than I want to see of her at Free Palestine type events, which don't inspire confidence as far as I'm concerned. But if she is going to live up to that reputation, we're going to need to see what she can deliver pretty damn quickly. And I am not optimistic.
Yeah, here's what she's got to do, and she won't. She has to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, and then she has to start deporting everyone that arrives. You have to start saying to migrants, you don't get to stay under any circumstances if you cross the channel illegally. And now what did we find out on her just about her first day in power as Home Secretary? 1,097 migrants crossed the channel in 17 boats. 24 had to be rescued from the sea. This was yesterday. And Shabana Mahmood reacted to that by making the usual absolutely empty, fatuous statements about stopping at nothing to solve the crisis. She said nothing is off the table. I'll tell you what's off the table, Shabana, for you anyway, and it shouldn't be off the table. Leaving the ECHR, telling the judges to stop being just a bunch of lefty lunatic Britain haters, and start turning the boats around maybe, or if you won't turn the boats around, deport people as soon as they arrive illegally. If you don't do all of that, or at least most of that, you are doomed to follow in Yvette Cooper's disastrous footsteps, and you're doomed to tinker around the edges just like Keir Starmer keeps doing, right?
100% right. That is my fear, that this woman is just not going to do anything more radical than her predecessor. And even some of what they're mooting is hardly radical. I mean, they're suggesting putting illegal channel migrants in military accommodation. Well, great. Why didn't they do that, when they first came into power? That's a fairly obvious potential outlet for this pressure on accommodation. I mean, why were they ever in hotels under this regime when they took over? There are plenty of disused military barracks and other suitable settings which are detention centres, but it's not going to work, by the way, if they simply go into old barracks and are then allowed to just roam free as they are in the hotel settings and in the private accommodation. The only way this works as any form of deterrent is if people are actually detained. And to the best of my knowledge, That is not yet being proposed by the supposed hard-as-nails new Home Secretary.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this military base idea later on with Andrea Jenkins, but while I've got you on it, let's talk about it. So this proposal came up over the weekend. I think it made the front pages of the paper on Saturday of the newspapers. And, you know, on the face of it, although it has been discussed before, that could potentially save £5.7 million a night in asylum seeker hotel bills. Great. OK, something to build on. John Healey, the Defence Secretary, then does the media rounds, the TV studios on Sunday, and said, well, you've got... John, you've come up with this... Labour have come up with this idea. You're going to put asylum seekers into military bases, disused military bases, instead of hotels. That sounds good. Yes, yes, yes. He goes, well, we're certainly looking at it. And then he said, then when pressed, he said, oh, yes, we're looking at it seriously. When are they going to stop looking at stuff and start doing something, this damn government? All they do is jaw, talk about plans, talking about plans. You know, so this week, Shabana Maboon, on her important in-tray, will include talks with America, Australia, Canada and New Zealand, a Five Eyes conference on people smuggling. What do you think that will achieve, Isabel? I've got a fair old idea. It's that. Zero. It won't achieve a damn thing. Talk. Jaw. This lot never do anything.
Well, and she used the words imminent when talking about the first deportations under the one-in, one-out scheme. What does she mean imminent? I mean, yesterday was way too late. I don't know what imminent means from this government. It basically means, in brackets, never. And you know, it's just so dispiriting, the lameness of it all. And I do worry about the use of military facilities in any case, because I fear that so far from just shoving them all in there and letting them get on with it, because if it was good enough for our armed forces not that long ago, it ought to be good enough for literal criminals who've broken into our country. I fear that when they start using those facilities or looking at them, as John Healey would say, we're going to look at them, they'll say, oh, yeah, but this needs £100 million spent on it, you know, souping it up. I've seen it. This is what's happening at a former detention centre called Campsfield. You and I have covered this before, Kev, near Oxford Airport. Perfectly fine, I'm sure, but still undergoing a multi-squillion pound refit for some asylum seekers that may eventually end up there. I don't know when. This has gone on for literally years now. Complete and utter joke.
It's a shambles. As I say, this lot are scared to disturb the universe. They will not do anything concrete, and that is a massive problem. And even if they do start to, in the unlikely event they start to get any asylum seekers into disused military bases, they'll still be putting them into hotels. And of course they're now dispersing them around houses, coming soon to a street near you, coming soon to a house next door to you, a house full of migrants. And outrageously, what's the government call that? They call it Operation Scatter. That's disgusting. Great. What a disgusting name for it.
Yeah, marvellous. You know, I'm sure that the great British public is delighted at the idea of Operation Scatter. It's more like Operation Screw Over. Operation Screw Over the British population. Operation Eject people like the veterans that you and I covered on this show a few weeks ago from their accommodation. Right. Supposedly that was not to make way for immigrants. I'm afraid I am still deeply sceptical, and we are keeping an eye on that case. I'm afraid that we are routinely lied to by all manner of authorities about this scandal, and Operation Scatter is only going to increase the fury of voters, and I'm afraid the number of upsetting incidents in those areas involving people put up in those settings.
And if this government is so committed to stopping using hotels to put asylum seekers in, how come they went to court to stop a local community shutting down their local asylum seeker hotels. They were determined to keep it open. This is all smoke and mirrors. This is nonsense. If they, as I say, if they ever get any migrants into disused military bases, and they definitely will get them into lots of these houses of multiple occupation, they will still carry on using hotels. So all we're going to get is a panorama of places to put these people, and we are going to be the victims. Before we go to break, let's just remind everyone where we stand on the migrant crisis. With the 1,097 migrants that came illegally across the channel yesterday in 17 boats, that takes the total, this year's record total, past the 30,000 mark. That's up 37% on last year, and it also takes the number of illegal arrivals across the channel since Keir Starmer was elected last July, soaring to 53,342. This is a disaster, and Shabana Mahmood, to me, shows no signs of solving it whatsoever, because she's hamstrung by the rest of her party. They're terrified. They're terrified. They won't do anything. They're too scared to actually disturb the universe. Therefore, this crisis is going to get worse and worse and worse. And Ms. Mahmood, if you're watching, you're going to be the new Yvette Cooper. Within 3 months, the nation isn't going to like you much. Trust me. Talking of not liking people much, when we come back after the break, let's talk about Angela Rayner, shall we? That next. Stay tuned.
Media instead of videos of people being put onto a coach, sent off to a hotel, getting 3 square meals a day, plus freedom to go into the local town and do what they want, plus pocket money and all these extra perks that even the British people don't get.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor Isabel Oakeshott. Isabel, I was talking earlier about the kind of strangeness of being away from it for a couple of weeks, and of course being in the country. Being in Cornwall, I still sort of kept abreast of what was going on. And one of the strangest sagas was Angela Rayner, not so much her downfall, but the way the likes of Ed Miliband, Diane Abbott and even Keir Starmer acted as if she'd done nothing wrong. This sad downfall of a colossus of the Labour movement, this magnificent trade unionist. Well, look, you know, she clearly did something very badly wrong. I mean, we know that she lied when she said, oh, I was given bad legal advice. So that was a lie, because she subsequently said, oh, sorry, I didn't get any legal advice. That was my big mistake. Now, look, observers from outside of this soap opera might look at everything here and say, well, you tried to fiddle your stamp duty, didn't you? Simple as that. We've now got, now she would deny that, but it looks like it to me. I don't know what you think, but it looks all a bit strange and dodgy. Her property arrangements were labyrinthine. People all around the country saying, oh, this working class, they're a wonderful woman, class act. That's what the Observer said on the paper, on the front page of the Observer yesterday. She was a class act. Well, she's a liar. She's a liar who tried to lie her way out of big trouble. I know you've got a bit of time for her. I mean, I used to quite like her as a colourful character, but this has exposed something that doesn't smell right. It really doesn't. Now, will she be investigated for this stamp duty howler? By the police? You and I might be. Will she be investigated for this strange valuation on her house in Ashton, up in the north, a valuation of £650,000, which Rightmove's estimated was only worth $565 at best. It's a 4-bedroom house in the same area. The most recent sale of a 4-bedroom house was for $425,000. Now, you know, that might not seem too much, except for, based on this valuation of £650,000, she managed to take out of her son's trust fund £162,500. So arguably, the fact that the price of the property seems rather inflated made her quite a few quid cashing in on her son's trust fund. It all seems like really not very nice to me. And if you and I did this, you know, I think, you know, we might get our collars felt. Why is she not being investigated? Why is she sort of disappearing into the sunset with all these idiots like Miliband? Oh, she was a colossus, absolutely magnificent woman. It's a joke. It's a joke. We're being gaslit about this woman who was not a working class hero. She was a caricature of a working class hero who I think did the working classes no favours whatsoever.
So I actually don't think she is disappearing into the sunset, in that I think many of her problems have only just begun. I'm absolutely intrigued as to how she, on her salary and her, given the uncertainty of a political salary, how the heck did she manage to get such a ginormous mortgage? Any of us going through the process of mortgage applications, and that will be most of our listeners probably have had to do it at some point, know just how hard you have to work to prove to the lenders that you are a safe bet. And I already thought before I knew the details of this that something didn't stack up about how this politician on a relatively modest income, I mean, she doesn't get huge bonuses or anything like that, and no apparent capital savings, was able to get such a gigantic mortgage. When you take into the account the fact that the political role she had was so uncertain, she's literally in the last week lost a 6-figure sum from her coffers, A, in having to pay back this 40 grand, but B, in her ministerial salaries. Together, that is a huge financial blow. How is she going to be able to afford the repayments on this ill-fated second home? And you know, as you said, the arrangements were so labyrinthine, but in the end, stamp duty is actually a very simple thing. You pay a certain amount on your first home and you pay a higher amount on your second home. And we can argue about whether that's right or it isn't right, but that's the law. It's actually very straightforward. And it was completely obvious, as she knew it herself, that property in Hove was a second home. And I have no problem with her having multiple homes. But you couldn't possibly classify it as her main residence. So this was an absolute fiddle, I'm afraid. There's no other way to look at it. She's taken a huge financial hit this week, and her lenders must be pretty damn twitchy about how she's going to be making the repayments for that mortgage now she's taken such a hammering.
Well, she tried to frame it as, oh, I just made an honest mistake. I really should have got some advice about the amount of stamp duty I should pay. As you say, it's pretty simple, Angela. Is it your primary residence or is it not? It's not, is it? So why are you trying to pay a primary resident rate? It's as simple as that. Now, if it was an honest mistake, she wouldn't have had to walk the plank. She wouldn't have had to quit. I mean, you know, we say, oh, she resigned. She resigned in disgrace. She was effectively fired because she did something profoundly wrong. And it's as simple as that. So you know, she's trying to, all Labour, even Keir Starmer, oh, you've been such an amazing woman, da, da, da. She did something badly wrong. And I don't think we should let it rest like that, that somehow or other, oh, poor woman, she's just a victim of an innocent mistake. If it was an innocent mistake, she'd still be Deputy Prime Minister. She'd still be Housing Secretary. As Mike Graham said, the trouble with her, she was the Secretary of Housing herself, as opposed to anyone else. So let's not let her get away with this. Let's not let Miliband and Abbott and even Starmer get away with saying that this is a departing heroine who so tragically fell from grace over an innocent mistake. It's not that. It's not that. And I would suggest that if you add the stamp duty problem with Hove to the 162,000 she took out of her son's fund based on the valuation of her house in the north, which was clearly way over in terms of its valuation, I would say it is worth suggesting that maybe the police had a look at this, don't you think?
Well, Kev, I'm not generally in favour of the use of police time for political investigations such as this. I think the rest of us would have an HMRC investigation, and you know, she's said already she'll repay that stamp duty. I suspect the rest of us would get a fine, and she perhaps she will get that. I just don't like the police being called in every time a politician does something dodgy. You know, I think most of the facts are out there now. But one of the reasons I think she had to resign, well, on the face of it, she had to resign because that report came back from the ministerial standards people, and they say you've actually broken the ministerial code. But had they not said that on the basis of the information already in the public domain, I rather suspect that there are half a dozen more angles to this story that would have come out, whether it's about the circumstances surrounding that compensation that she got from the NHS, despite on camera saying how brilliant the NHS was and how her...
while suing them for their incompetence. Exactly. Unbelievable.
That I really, really, really don't understand. There's something very discordant with that. There were issues around how she's handled the trust and the management of that trust. So I think, and then issues around, as I say, question marks in my mind anyway, about what she said in order to get that mortgage. Just intriguing. And it was clearly just going to carry on snowballing. So she's out. I don't think it'll be that easy for her to come back in. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see that ill-fated Hove apartment on the market in pretty short order.
Yeah, it should be a knockdown bargain basement rate, so maybe we'll put a bid in. Let's go to break now, and when we come back, Isabel, let's talk about the race for the deputy leadership of the Labour Party. It's already looking pretty bitter and rancid. That next. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. By the way, if anybody's wondering why I'm looking so uncharacteristically smart and all that, I've still got my funeral gear on. I've just been to James Wales's funeral. It was a brilliant service down in Kent. My oh my, did that guy live in the back of beyond. It took me about 3 hours to find it, but it was a fantastic service, and for what it's worth, this show is for you, James. Back to Isabel Oakeshott, Talk's international editor. Let's talk about the Deputy Labour leadership battle, and it's already looking pretty nasty. Loads and loads of people in the Labour Party now actively, at least off the record, saying we hate Keir. Everybody hates Keir, including me. So they're lining up to try and, as I said in my monologue, diplomatically screw Keir up. They actually used an F word instead of that. Keir up. And this includes Emily Thornberry, who probably will attack him from the right, as it were. She, of course, is on a bitter ticket because he didn't appoint her to his government. But also, incredibly, former Transport Secretary, that well-known convicted fraudster, Louise Haigh, also fancies her chances and may well make it. If there's enough left-wingers, she's very left-wing, she'll get the vote. There's also talk Richard Bergen may get involved. They want the Labour ranks that want to stick one on Keir and say, we've got our deputy, you're not getting yours. He apparently wanted Shabana Mahmood to do it. She told him this morning, no thanks, I've got too much on my plate. Incidentally, by the way, another pop fact, in this reshuffle, you know, the moving the deck chairs around the deck of the Titanic. I mean, literally, what kind of reshuffle is that? Right, I'm going to take someone off Home Secretary, I'm going to make them Foreign Secretary, I'm going to give that job to them and that job to them. I mean, it was ridiculous. But one of the things he wanted to do was to bow to public demand and get rid of Ed Miliband. He wanted to move him from net zero, from energy, but Ed refused, apparently. So he's had two refusals. Shabana Mahmood's told him she won't be Deputy Labour leader, and Ed Miliband refused to be moved from net zero secretary, proving on two counts that this Prime Minister is very, very weak. But the deputy leadership of the Labour Party battle will be very painful for Keir. I mean, it doesn't really amount to a hill of beans for most people in the country, but in Westminster and in terms of political power, he's going to get a kicking, I think.
Well, I mean, I am sort of grimly fascinated by this, because the cast of characters that appear to be preparing to throw their hat into the ring are all from one wing of the party, it seems to me. You know, all different shades of scarlet red, absolute hard lefties. And this actually symbolises a political disaster for Keir Starmer. The only way that he can begin to try to sort of stem the flow of support towards reform is actually moving in the opposite direction. Now, he may hope that if he gets a very hard lefty deputy, that may actually stop any hemorrhaging of his own party towards Jeremy Corbyn's new outfit. And maybe there's a little bit of an argument for that. But the real concern that we all have as patriots is what the heck this means for our country if Labour just moves ever further to the left. And I fear it means terrible things. I fear it means we're heading to a more dangerous, angrier, less pleasant land. And we've got 4 years of it, folks, before we can put it right.
Exactly right. But also this looming Deputy Labour leadership battle and the news that he tried to move Ed Miliband and Ed Miliband just said, no, I'm not moving. So he didn't. And the fact that Shabana Mahmood said, I'm not standing as Deputy Labour leader, can't be bothered, to be honest with you. And Keir Starmer just said, oh, all right then. I mean, he is just woefully weak as a leader, isn't he? No authority whatsoever.
Well, I was as struck by that piece of comment that I think you've drawn from for this discussion as you were by Dan Hodges, saying 90% of the parliamentary party, and I quote, hates Keir Starmer. I mean, no wonder, because he's driving them towards the electoral precipice, and he's just so utterly dead-eyed and soulless and robotic that whatever he does, I can't imagine there's any hope whatsoever of him reconnecting with the British people. And I have never known a prime minister, however unpopular, be the subject of the kind of lewd mantras that people sing about Keir Starmer. I'm not going to, of course,
please don't.
There. But we all know what this phrase is that you see and hear everywhere, and it's become a kind of national sport, people singing that whether it's at football matches or any other gathering. Prime ministers can become hated, they can become a source of anger, but I've never seen anything quite like this, the derision and just the utter contempt in which he's held by so many voters, and yet he's too weak to confront someone like Ed Miliband, who's bizarrely popular amongst his colleagues, and yet he will stay in post, I believe, for a fair bit longer, because there is not the mechanism in the Labour Party really to oust him if he chooses to dig in his heels, which he evidently will do.
Exactly right. I mean, it really is an indication of just how weak this guy is, that cabinet ministers are just kicking him around and telling them what they want to do. And, I mean, why didn't he say to David Lammy, you've been a disaster as Foreign Secretary, I'm sacking you? Why is it? I mean, by all means, move him to some other sinecure or something. But why? Oh well, we had to buy him off with the deputy prime ministership. We had to keep him happy. Why? Don't worry about keeping him happy. You're the prime minister. Do your job properly. It is a big, big problem. We're going to talk about Keir Starmer's innate weakness next as well, because Angela Rayner's departure has left him with a really serious problem. She, of course, is the architect of that horrific disaster, the Workers' Rights Bill, which now Keir Starmer is being told, now that she's gone, the unions are saying, you better not touch that. This was the bill that, OK, this did get taken out. But it's so absurd that Angela proposed things like bosses are not allowed to talk to their employees after 6 p.m. They're not allowed to email their employees outside of office hours. Not taking into account that many people have office hours that might be 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, whatever. But it was full of this nonsense, still is full of this nonsense. So bosses are saying, well, now that she's gone, Keir, for God's sake, cut us some slack. We can't run our businesses like this with this Workers' Rights Bill. So Keir Starmer goes, oh, I'll certainly look into it. The unions, at the same time, are now saying, you touch a word of the Workers' Rights Bill and we will strike. We will strike you down. So Keir Starmer is once again between a rock and a hard place. He's in big trouble on that, and we'll talk about this next.
that the understanding of quite how rotten the state has become, the sclerotic nature of our civil service, the legislation that has hamstrung us, the international treaties that prevent us being a democratic nation, that these things need to be undone, and the best people, the most committed people from all parties need to decide that. The two who are most on this side are the Conservatives and Reform.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the Workers' Rights Bill, which of course is Angela Rayner's gift to the nation, her legacy. This is the providing of rights to workers that allows them, for example, to demand to work irregular hours, when they like, demand to work from home, gives them automatic rights over dismissal on day one, even if they don't turn up, and so on and so forth. Bosses, Isabel, say, well, look, we cannot run our businesses like this. This is ridiculous. This is the work of a woman who's never really worked in the private sector, who doesn't understand business, as in Angela Rayner. Meanwhile, the unions say to Keir, you touch a word of this and we will strike. We will bring you down. So Keir Starmer is stuck with this, it seems, or what he's got people running business saying, if you don't do something about this, we can't run our businesses. Lots of businesses will close. And then he's got the unions saying, don't you dare touch a word. And you know what he'll do? He'll go with the latter, because he's terrified of the unions, terrified of the left. Yeah. So Angela's legacy is this dreadful, ludicrous, unrealistic Workers' Rights Act that will continue because the unions demand it. Once again, an indication that we're going back to the 1970s. The unions are running this country. It's what happens when Labour is in power.
Well, I tell you what Keir Starmer should do. He should actually make this a complete brave and bold showdown with the unions and show who is Prime Minister. And in conjunction with Rachel Reeves, on the basis that the economy is already right on the edge, they should say, look, folks, you're going to have a reality check here. Any additional package of workers' rights is only going to push us beyond the brink. And look, I think this is really, really serious. The effects of this type of legislation are actually really difficult to measure, because you're actually having to measure things that don't happen. So many potential employers, particularly smaller businesses, will just say, you know what, I actually could do with help. I would like to expand what I'm doing. I'd like to hire more people, but I'm just not going to do it. Why on earth would anybody make that choice if they can carry on as they are, operating using consultants or whatever, rather than hiring staff, because they're running the risk of these ridiculous excessive rights. The idea that someone should be able to effectively sue for unfair dismissal on day one is total and utter insanity. It should be quite the opposite. Employers should have the chance, and both sides should have the chance to see how it works out on a complete no commitment basis on either side, because we all know that sometimes jobs aren't what we expected them to be, and equally as employers, sometimes the people you hire aren't what you expect them to be, and it's completely bonkers. It will actually spark chaos, I think, if people have these kinds of rights. We know this. We're in a kind of rights-driven culture already. There are plenty of spurious employment tribunals being brought as it is. The system will be overwhelmed. And as for this whole thing, oh, you can't ring me at certain times of day, I absolutely deplore that attitude to work. How can you be successful? How can you be the person that builds a business that adds to the wealth of the nation if you're only prepared to take a phone call within certain hours? I mean, I recoil when I send an email to somebody in a business or a company and I see in brackets under there, she, her, they, them name, in brackets, I don't work the following days. You know, well, that's why you're not a multi-millionaire, because you put that on your email. It sends out the message that you're only showing limited commitment to this job. You know, anyone who ends up making a fortune in the modern world does so because they give it their all. Now, of course, I accept not everyone wants to make a fortune. You know, a younger Gen Z or whatever maybe thinks that they're just as happy baking cakes and picking daisies as they would be, you know, buying lots of assets, whatever that may be. That's a choice. But I think equally employers should be free to discriminate against those sorts of hires.
And what do you make of, you know, this is all in the arena of business. The business secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, the pretend solicitor, is no more. He's now chief whip. Peter Kyle has now come in to be the business secretary. So that's kind of an admission, isn't it? This entire reshuffle, this cabinet reshuffle, which was, you know, instigated by the departure of Angela Rayner. It's just a sort of admission that all these people haven't been doing a very good job. So Reynolds has gone. We've got a new business secretary. Is he going to get to grips with this? And by the way, let me ask you another question. So Keir's made a lot about this. He said, oh, it's phase two. It's phase two of my administration. Phase two. Anyone notice phase one? Did anyone notice phase one? I didn't notice phase one. What's he talking about?
I don't know. I reckon he must. Well, if he had any self-awareness, which we know he doesn't, he would regret that ridiculous, completely cringeworthy phrase, phase two. How's that worked out then, Sakir? Phase two so far has been a completely disastrous changing of the personnel at the top of your government, triggered by the most prominent politician other than you having to admit to having done awful things. I mean, not a great phase two. I think what the country is desperately yearning for is end phase.
Yeah. I think maybe he thought in his mind, well, I can't really sack Rachel Reeves because that'll look really bad because she's my chancellor. I know what I'll do. I'll sack her sister. But I mean, to be more serious, you know, you're talking about the Home Secretary. So the Home Secretary has effectively been told, you've done a useless job, we need a new Home Secretary. The Foreign Secretary has been told, you've done a useless job, we need a new Foreign Secretary. The Business Secretary has been told, you've done a useless job, we need a new Business Secretary, Housing Secretary, and so on and so forth. This is an admission that we have had 1 year and what is it now? 1 year and 3 months worth of utter incompetence, and the reset hopefully will give us people who can actually do the jobs. But this is an admission that ever since last July, Labour have been a disaster.
Well, just one problem. You know, he told the Home Secretary, you know, not in so many words, you've done a useless job, I need to move you out of the Home Office. But instead of firing her, he actually gave her what was arguably a big promotion to the Foreign Office. You know, still one of the great offices of state. Yvette Cooper now gets to swan around on the world stage, while David Lammy, demoted from the Foreign Office, nonetheless has the title Deputy Prime Minister, which will give him untold riches when he's eventually booted out of office altogether. So this is just I think, a reflection of the fact that there is such a paucity of talent at the top of the Labour Party. They don't. That's the sorry, tragic reality, is that they actually don't have many big beasts to choose from.
I watched that Darren Jones guy, the new Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. He's the man who went on to Question Time and told the nation that the majority of cross-channel migrants on the small boats were women and women, babies and children. He later said, oh, well, people misunderstood. No, what he was doing there, he was lying. He was lying. This guy is now the eyes and the ears of the Prime Minister. He's going to do his speaking. And what did he do to talk about this reshuffle? He completely changed the goalposts. So what did he do to talk about Angela Rayner? He said, well, it's a triumph, because it's actually proved that the ministerial code system that we put in place is working. That's what people were all saying, wasn't it, Isabel? When we saw that Angela Rayner was in trouble, we all went, well, I just hope the ministerial code works. I mean, these people are just farcical. They're farcical. Darren Jones stands there and expects us to believe this claptrap. Darren, get up and smell the coffee. You're getting this all wrong. It's a disaster.
These people are totally detached from reality, and it comes from the top, where Keir Starmer is so detached too. But you know what? All they need to do is listen to a bit of talk radio, and I think we'll put them right. Good to talk to you again, Isabel. Always a pleasure. I think you're going to be back tomorrow with a particularly good story, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. In the meantime, next up, it's Andrea Jenkins from Reform, so stay tuned for that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to the second hour of my return show. I've been away for 2 weeks in sunny Cornwall. Well, not always sunny, I can confirm that. But we did have some nice days. We also had some terrible days, but it was nice down in Cornwall, and it's sort of good to be back, although back into the tube strike today, getting to James Whale's funeral, all the relaxation, all the good I did myself by kicking back and enjoying the Cornish sunshine and the Cornish hospitality. All of that good dissipated, is gone. I mean, by about sort of 9:30 this morning, I was in a rage, furious, couldn't get through London, had to get a train down to Maidstone all the way to James. Oh, my God, it has been the day from hell. I am back in London. Golly gosh, how great is that? Now, this is the second hour. In about half an hour, we'll be taking your calls. 03444991000. Also, later in the hour, we're going to be talking to a retired police superintendent called Kathy Larkman, who, to her horror, was visited by two South Wales cops accusing her of a potential hate crime. What was her hate crime? She apparently, quote, dead-named some bloke called Fred, and this guy likes to be called Frida now. So Kathy Larkman called him Fred, and he called the police, and the police said, you've dead-named Frida. That's not a crime. Anyway, it's taken South Wales Police quite a time, but they have realised that, as they put it, this does not reach the criminal threshold. Of course it doesn't. What are you doing? Go and solve some real crimes. Unbelievable. We'll talk to Kathy later. I mean, as I say, she's a former superintendent. She's retired now. She must wonder where on earth the police she used to work for with distinguished service is heading. Where are the police heading with this nonsense? You dead name someone. It's not Fred, it's Frida. It's a hate crime. Oh, shut up, you absolute idiots. You absolute idiots. So all that coming up in the next 60 minutes. But first, while I was away, one of the things I did enjoy was the Reform Conference. I watched that on the telly, and the most incredible performance by my next guest. That she is, of course, the Reform Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins. Welcome, Andrea.
So you're back, Kevin?
Yes, I'm back, and
I did a staycation as well, and it rained most of the days.
Well, I don't have a choice. I have this little dog who's like kept pushing on 14.
I took my dogs as well. Yeah,
I can't leave him with anyone. He's too much of a problem. So we have to. We are restricted to staycations. Nothing wrong with that. We had a nice time.
Yeah, I look after him. I love dogs.
You wouldn't look.
Honestly,
Honestly, Andrew.
Is he a bit nuts? Is he?
Yeah. Well, it's not that. He's so old. He's got dementia and he's all over the place. So we literally can't leave him with anyone. Hence, we had to stay in Cornwall.
I've got my dog shirt on today as well. Look.
There you go. Excellent. You have to, haven't you? Yeah. Now, I was incredibly impressed, of course, by your musical. Not only your musical entrance when you did Insomniac, a song that you wrote, but then later on when you all gathered at the end of the conference to sing the national anthem. I
lost my voice by then, by the way. Well, I was so croaky and I thought it was pretty pants, but there we go.
No, I thought you were good. Now, I've been told you're going to sing me a song. Is that right?
Well, your producer said, will I sing a song? So, I don't know. What do you want me to sing? The same thing or something different?
Well, you better sing the same thing unless you've got any other ideas.
Well, I'm quite romantic. I could sing "Speak Softly, Love" if you want.
All right, let's do that then. Any song you like, hit it.
Okay. I need to check the words. I sang it for ages.
Take your time. Take your time.
Oh, by the way, why are we doing this? It's 3 years this afternoon since the Queen died.
I know. Yeah, because there was a gun salute for the King. 3 years. Doesn't seem like 3 years, does it?
No, exactly. I mean, my mum died the same year, and I remember her watching the funeral, and it was very poignant looking back. My mum, like myself, we adored the Queen. So, and I don't know what you feel, but I think the world and the country's been a darker place since she's left. Actually,
I think this country. It's interesting, isn't it? Whether or not you're a manic royalist or a monarchist, there was something about the Queen. She was like the anchor for this nation for her 70-year reign. And now that she's gone, it has, I mean, all due respect to the King, the country has felt rudderless. Something quite profound happened with her sad departure, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I found the lyrics now.
Right, hit it. Let me introduce it. What song are you going to sing, Andrew?
Speak Softly, Love from The Godfather. I normally sing it in English and Sicilian, but I'll do the English version,
okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dame Andrea Jenkins with Speak Softly. What was it? Speak Softly.
Softly Love. Everybody
Speak Softly, Love from The Godfather. Hit it, Andrea. Take it away.
No, it's a cappella, no music. Okay. Ready? Right, so, right. Speak softly, love, and hold me warm against your heart. I feel your words, a tender trembling moment start. We're in a world our very own, sharing a love that only few have ever known. There we go.
Amazing, amazing. So, tell me about your singing. I mean, are you trained? It seems you're an amazing singer.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was pretty pants. God Save the King. I'm quite self-critical, as all singers are. No, I mean, I got taught the bel canto, classical way of singing and projection, but I've been in rock bands and been. Yeah, I'm a rock chick. I love actually singing and performing Muse songs. I love Muse, but I'm a romantic as well. I love classical as well. So, but no, I mean, it wasn't actually planned, believe it or not. As a girly girl, I wore the outfit to my 50th birthday last year, and I was looking through the wardrobe. I thought, what shall I wear? And I thought, oh, what the heck? Everyone's putting the flags out there. Let's show that, I feel your pain. I'm proud of the British flag as well. And then I was trying to look for some copyright-free music, and I actually love Lady Gaga's, what's it called? I can't remember the name of it now, but it's obviously copyrighted. So I was looking through songs. And then I thought, oh, what about Insomniac? Everyone's having sleepless nights with this god-awful Labour government, and that was a theme. And then we was only going to play it, and as I was walking on the stage, I thought, oh, what the heck? I'll just join in and sing it.
Do you know what's interesting?
Actually. Yeah.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. You know what's interesting about what you did, which was, I think, unique in the history of party conferences, is the way that all the, the sketch writers and the political reporters greeted it with a sort of sense of horror. If you disturb their little universe, if you do something that they're not used to, they go into a kind of rage. Don't know, what the hell did she think she was playing at? We weren't expecting that. How dare she? It was a joke. I thought it was terrific. I thought it was terrific.
And she's not a serious politician. But what makes me laugh, though, actually, Kevin, is there's been for 20 years, there's been the parliamentary band, MP4, they've played in the Speaker's House. It's Lib Dems, Labour, SNP and Conservative. But all the Conservative MPs was attacking me, but they've supported that band, and they've even released albums and everything. So I thought, God, the hypocrisy. Just because someone from Reform is actually trying to be, themselves.
It was just a bit of fun, and I thought it was unusual. It was terrific. It was eye-catching. I think they're just sort of jealous. But it is weird, isn't it, this sort of little political bubble that everybody expect you have to behave in a certain way, and if you don't, all the sketch writers go, what on earth was she playing at? What did she think she was doing? It's a joke. Anyway, I thought it was fantastic. But
don't you think as well, though, look, I'm in my early 50s now, you sort of get to our age, and then I've lost both parents. You go through these tough moments in life, and you think, what the heck, just be yourself, enjoy life,
exactly.
And don't try to be something you're not really. So absolutely.
Yeah. But before we move on to the first issue I'd like to discuss with you, let's remind ourselves of your incredible entrance at the Reform UK conference in Birmingham. Take it away, Ms. Jenkins.
I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. Staring at the ceiling. Waiting for my thoughts to switch on. Yes, I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. And all I can hear is the sound of that.
That's a good song. You wrote that, right?
Well, echo on that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know the irony? I don't know if I was tempting fate, but I haven't slept since Saturday, Kevin. I've had the worst insomnia. I've had over-the-counter sleeping pills.
Really?
Nothing is knocking me out.
Really? Really? Oh, my God. But perhaps you should sing that again. Sing that all night until you go to sleep. How about that?
That's true, yeah.
Or alternatively, if you can't get to sleep, how about you play yourself a few Keir Starmer speeches? That'll send you off. That's an insomnia cure if ever I heard one. Let me ask you though, more seriously, Andrea. Labour. I was discussing this earlier with Isabel Oakeshott. This proposal that came up on Friday made the front pages of the papers on Saturday and Sunday. That we're going to take asylum seekers out of hotels and put them into military bases. I mean, I don't think they're going to do that on a massive basis, but they say they're going to do it, or they said they were going to do it. Then you see the Defence Secretary, John Healey, yesterday, doing the TV rounds, the media rounds, going to the studios, and they say, oh, yeah, you come up with this great plan, John, you're going to put asylum seekers into military bases. And what did he say? Yes, we're looking at it. And they go, well, hang on a second. Didn't you make this statement yesterday? Oh, no, we're looking at it seriously. In other words, it's more words, word soup, no action. This government...
Do you want some insider knowledge on this, actually?
Yes.
Because RAF Scampton, don't forget the Conservatives was trying to push that, and there was lots of uproar to house migrants.
Yeah.
And I'm opposed to it. Richard Tice is opposed to it. We at Reform are opposed to it in Lincolnshire, been fighting it. And I've got these great plans. I've mentioned it in my conference speech, actually. I've been meeting with one of the local authorities as well. I've been meeting with industry to turn it into an AI defence and security hub, to really expand that, have my veterans village nearby, etc. However, speaking to other stakeholders who's been also trying to do something similar since it got stopped from the Conservatives, apparently it's the senior civil servant of the Home Office who is not listening to all these people over the years who want to turn it into something else because they want it to house migrants. Yeah. So, and we know that Labour doesn't challenge the blob, don't we? Yeah. So this is an off-the-shelf one that the civil service have been wanting to do for years. So let's see how strong.
You're going to fight that, Andrea? You're going to fight?
Oh my God, I'll fight it with my last breath, and so will lots of reformers. So will the people of Lincolnshire. Yeah, Richard Tyson and I has already had conversations on this.
By the way, I was with your boss earlier, Mr. Farage. We were at James Well's funeral, so...
Yes, oh, that's so sad. James was wonderful, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing my tie. I'm looking into my funeral outfit.
Bless him.
Yes, so RAF Scanlon, that's where they made the battle, the film, didn't they, where the Battle of Britain. But anyway, didn't the local people there wage a big campaign to stop the migrants being housed there about 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then now they've got the prospect again.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I'm going to, as I said, fight immediately. Yeah, definitely.
So John Healey just watering down this proposal. Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, saying that they will stop at nothing to solve the migrant crisis.
It's not as if it's in a remote area, though, is it?
Yeah.
You're talking, yeah, it's crazy.
But if you take Shabana Mahmood and the new Home Secretary, she says she's going to stop at nothing to solve the migrant crisis. Does that mean she's going to detain and deport? Does that mean she's going to turn the boats round? Does that mean she's going to leave the European Convention on Human Rights? Doesn't, does it? So she's going to stop at all sorts of things. She's going to stop at everything rather than solve the crisis like Labour always does, right?
Yeah. It's just rhetoric, isn't it? Definitely, Kevin. I mean, when she got announced as Home Secretary, I started looking back on her social media, and she hasn't mentioned before getting this post anything where it's saying about stopping the boats. I can't find anything, but I've found lots on there with a refugees welcome photograph signs.
That's right. Refugees welcome, free Palestine, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'd be very surprised. And she's making the same mistake that the Conservative Home Secretaries have done. They're relying on France. And look, why would France, even though they're getting millions of pounds off Britain, and they have done for a long time, why would they want to stop them? They don't want them in their country, do they?
No, exactly. And what did you make of Shabana's first exciting announcement that this one-in, one-out scheme, the swap a migrant scheme with Macron, with France, which, by the way, the score so far since they launched it in July 2 months ago is 4,600 in, none out. Well, this incredibly effective scheme, they're now going to expand to Germany. Wow, quite an announcement. That was her first big announcement. Great, eh?
And she also said she won't leave the ECHR as well, didn't she?
Well, that's my point. If you're not going to leave the ECHR, look, leaving the ECHR is not the panacea that's going to cure this entire crisis.
No, of course not.
But it's the important first move. And if you don't do that, you'll never solve the migrant crisis, right?
Exactly. And Reform gets this. I mean, I was very proud of Zia and Nigel a couple of weeks ago with their press conference. I think we've got like the strongest plan, actually. You know, we are prepared to do whatever it takes to stop the boats. And I believe that we, you know, if we get into government, we will finally stop it.
I love Nigel Farage when he was asked about this. Well, why do you think Reform UK will be the only party who can stop the boats? He says, because we're the only party that wants to.
Yeah, you're so right.
As that.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I've said on your show before, look, when I debates in Parliament and 6 MPs turned up, including myself, we just couldn't get anybody behind stopping illegal migration.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. Listen, let's go to break now, Andrea. When we come back, I want to talk about this judge, Sir Robert J., who incredibly had one of the 7/7 bombing masterminds in the dock at the end of his sentence. He'd spent some of it in a psychiatric hospital. Sir Robert J. wished him all the best. For a happy future life. I mean, what is going on with these people? We'll talk about that next, so stay tuned, everyone.
It's interesting that immigration has fallen a lot in the past couple of years. We had the so-called Boris wave, and it's now dropped off quite a lot. But the kind of as a topic in the media,
well, wasn't it about a year ago? It was sort of the last calendar year, wasn't it? Still in the sort of ballpark of 800,000.
I think my understanding is it's about halved from the levels that it previously was. I think it's certainly fair to say that, you know, depending on, you know, people will have different views on what the right level is.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Reform UK's Greater Lincolnshire Mayor, Dame Andrea Jenkins. Andrea, let's talk, if we may, about a top judge in the High Court, a guy called Mr. Justice Robert J. Robert J. is his name, Sir Robert J. Now, before him in the dock in the High Court was a guy called Haroon Aswat. He was never charged over the 7/7 bombings, but American investigations revealed 20 calls that linked him directly to that atrocity back in 2007, wasn't it? On July the 7th, 2007. He is one of the masterminds of 7/7, of the horror of the 7/7 bombing. He has spent time in American jails and was extradited. He came back to Britain and has now spent time in a psychiatric hospital and is about to be released. This is what Justice Robert J. said to him. OK, you probably want to put all this behind you now, Aswat said. Indeed I do. Mr. Justice J added, it could not have been pleasant being in American custody all that time. I have to wish you all the best and say to you that the way forward is to keep on your medication, listen to the advice you were going to get and keep out of the sort of things you were doing because you saw where it ended up. And you do not want to go back to that, I am sure. So he's wishing one of the architects, one of the masterminds of the 7/7 bombings, all the best, sympathising with him for the time he spent in an American jail and sending him on his way. Nigel Farage has called for his dismissal, so has Robert Jenrick. You know, this is our hidden problem, Andrea.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the judiciary.
Yes.
So many judges are left-wing, liberal, and frankly, many of them come across...
Like our Prime Minister.
They come across as enemies of Britain. They really do.
Yeah.
What is this about? This is outrageous.
Yeah, but, I mean, let's remember Starmer was a human rights lawyer. Yeah, he should be dismissed. And, I mean, first of all, who let him back into the country in the first place? I guess it's the Conservatives. He shouldn't have been let back in. It's abhorrent. But, you cannot reform evil like that, can you? No. What a ridiculous thing to say, and the fact that... And what message does it put out, to the rest of the world that our justice system is so soft-touched? Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, he had a 20...
scratching my head and actually got no words for once.
Yeah, but this guy, Sir Robert J, is indicative, or his attitude to this bomber, to this terrorist, is indicative of the problem we have with our judges, particularly immigration tribunal judges. Yes. And these are the ones who just refuse to deport people because their sons don't like Albanian chicken nuggets and so on and so forth. Their default setting is to rule against the interests of Britain and against the interests of British citizens. These are the judges who allow...
He's been a traitor to our country, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, well, what he's got... Yes. We need to do something about this. Do you know, Andrew, we have no mechanism by which we can discipline judges, punish judges, sack judges. We have no mechanism to bring them to justice at all. It's ridiculous. They are literally officially beyond criticism. We've got to do something about this. If necessary, I think we have to go to the American system where judges rely on the votes of the people. So if they start making these kind of decisions, if they start talking nice to terrorists, they get kicked out of their job. We need to do something about this, don't we?
Look, I completely agree, and you took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking of the American system, actually. And it's not... It shouldn't just stop there. I mean, at conference, there was a session about who runs Britain, what can we do to reform things. And we do need to reform all these layers. We need to reform the civil service, have more of an American system, because, if we don't have a plan to reform as a party, the blob, we will encounter the same problems. We need a system like America where the top levels of civil service as well. A new government will bring in, so they're behind the manifesto so you can deliver. Equally, you're right. We need to reform the judiciary, because we will encounter the same problems. And do you know what I think will happen as well?
Yeah.
We also need trade union reform on top of this, because you can guarantee that if we're going to push back on the civil service and the blob, etc., and we will see a national strike within weeks of forming a government. So we need, like, judiciary, completely agree, reforming the civil service, and also make sure that no taxpayer-funded money goes on to trade unions as well.
Yeah, judges need to be answerable to the people.
Oh my God, exactly.
At the moment, let me just stress this again, Andrea, they are answerable literally to no one. We have no system by which you can even discipline a judge, by which we can even call a judge to explain his decisions. They are seen to be like deities who are above everything else. And they're not. They're not. They are clearly showing day in, day out that many of them are left-wing sympathisers with British enemies. And that has got to stop.
And it's been like it for decades, hasn't it?
Yeah. We've got to do something.
And since the Blair years, we've been getting more left-wing judges coming in, haven't we?
Yeah.
Since the Human Rights Act, etc. We've got to, absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. Now, let me ask you a last question, Andrea. Who would you like to see replace the great colossus of the Labour movement, Angela Rayner, who, of course, has never done anything wrong in her life? Such an unfortunate mistake she made. Totally innocent. If it was innocent, how come she had to quit? It wasn't innocent. Who would you like?
On Thursday, actually, by the way.
You saw her?
Yeah, it was the mayoral council. And and it was quite funny. Do you know where they held it?
Go on.
They held it in the stately home Chatsworth House, Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy. I thought, how out of touch is that? And I actually made a joke and said, come to Lincolnshire and I'll host you in Butlins. Yeah.
I'm surprised that Angela didn't try and buy Chatsworth House. You know what she's like. Every time she sees a property, she wants to purchase it.
Absolutely.
Listen,
so who to replace?
Who would you like to see replace her?
Obviously, the most awful person ever.
There's a lot to choose from in Labour.
Yeah. Well, maybe let Jeremy Corbyn rejoin the Labour Party. Let him become the deputy leader, and that'll really split the party apart, won't it?
I'll tell you what I think Starmer might do, because he needs to be friends with the left. I think he might encourage Ed Miliband to stand. So Ed Miliband ends up being his deputy. Because he's terrified of losing left-wing support. And obviously by parting company with Angela, he's lost left-wing support. I think Ed might be ready to step up to the plate.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
And did you see about Ed Miliband today as well, Kevin, that he's come out and said that local councils cannot challenge these mass solar farms?
Jesus. I mean, honestly, I've been 2 weeks away. I was just saying to Isabel Oakeshott earlier in the show, when you watch this clown show from a kind of detached position, it's jaw-dropping. This chaos, this mess, this disaster that Keir Starmer is presiding over, it's just, it's off the scale, isn't it?
Oh, my God, absolutely. And there's been no honeymoon period, and nobody could have imagined how bad Labour would be. I mean, we knew there was going to be bad, but God, they took it to new heights, haven't they?
To previously unexplored heights, or depths, if you like. Listen, Andrea, great to have you back on the show. Fantastic singing, and we'll get you on very, very soon. It's always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. Dame Andrea Jenkins, what a singer. She's a great singer, right? Reform UK's Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire there. Let me know what you think about some of the things she was saying. Our judges, we got a problem. I wish you all the best, you know, good luck, good luck. It's a terrorist. He organised the 7/7 bombings. What are you doing wishing him all the best? God's sake. 0344 499 1000. Also, Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary. Do you think she stands a snowball's chance in hell of solving the migrant crisis? Genuinely. She's not going to leave the ECHR. Not really going to do much except tinker around the edges. Turn the boats round. Deport people as soon as they arrive. Try that. I mean, honestly, Labour, they just don't get it. You cannot keep on like this. Either you're going to solve this crisis or you're not. And all this kind of, oh, well, we've done the deal with France. One in, one out. Oh, We haven't got any out yet. We've got 4,600 in. Oh, let's do the same deal with Germany. That'll work. Honestly, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Let me know what you think. 0344 499 1000. Your call's next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's time for your calls. I'll try and read a few messages out. By the way, we'll take some more calls. I've got Kinsey Schofield on at 9 o'clock. Around about 25 past, half past, we'll go back to the calls. But we've got 10 minutes or so now, so let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. Let's go straight away to our eyes and ears in Folkestone on the front line of the migrant crisis. He is Liam. Hello, Liam.
Hello, Kev. How you doing? Did you have a good holiday?
I did have a good holiday. I was looking out across the English Channel, but it's very, very wide, so I didn't see any migrants. But I suspect Cornwall might be the next port of call. Now, you've got... I'm glad you've come on because you're in Folkestone. There's the Napier barracks there, which are disused military barracks, which have been used for migrants now for several years, haven't they? Now, they were going to be closed, weren't they, in September, but they're still open?
Yeah, well, basically what happened was it was back in December 2020. All of a sudden, no resident was actually... We were never asked. We were never asked.
That's the way it is, Liam.
we were never asked. We were never asked. 1 minute, it was a barracks that was completely empty. And the next minute, 450 young fighting-age males are currently... were bussed in, okay?
Yeah.
Right, no. And that was in December 2020. In January, literally the next month, they set fire to it.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because they didn't like it much, did they? They said it wasn't up to the standards they were expecting.
Oh, no, they set fire to it. But in that meantime, we've got 450 young men that are free to come out of these barracks. They're free to come out, and many of them sit in the park opposite Napier Barracks, and they drink and they smoke, and I've seen many of them on swings, Kevin, Jesus, right? And they also rob the local Tesco's, because I've got one mate who actually works in the Tesco's, which is just round the corner. They go out robbing They are drinking and they are smoking and they're outside and they walk into town. But you see, when I go up,
about how many of them are there, Liam?
450.
450. Okay. That's quite a lot, isn't it?
When I go up, when I went up, if you remember, a few weeks ago, I went up and I spoke to a few Cheriton residents. Their house prices, right? They want to sell. Yeah. They can't sell. They can't sell their homes because it's right next to Napier Barracks. Now, Napier Barracks was meant to be shut down in September. They're keeping it open.
Well, of course they are, because this is their new policy. More and more disused military bases.
Yeah, but then I feel sorry for the residents of anywhere that is. It's like I think it's Wethersfield, Penally.
This is all areas of. Oh yeah, you mean around the country? Yeah. Scrampton. We're just talking about our area of Scrampton.
There will always be a kind of NIMBYism. We don't want them here. We don't want them here. Where Napier Barracks is actually situated, it's situated next to a girls' school. And so residents, of course, they are absolutely
worried. They're worried, yeah.
So, but obviously, it was meant to be shut down in September, but it's not. And it's now, we now realise it's now going to be open for the next 4 years.
Yeah, if not more. Liam, I sympathise as always, and keep in touch. I know you will. Good to talk to you. Liam in Folkestone there. Let's move on. Let's go to Leicestershire and talk to Gary. Gary wants to talk about Shabana Mahmood. Gary, you don't think Shabana Mahmood will solve the migrant crisis. Is that your suspicion?
No, it's a fact. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head.
It's a fact. I'm sorry. You're right. It is a fact.
Well, it is a fact because, fundamentally, you've said it 1,000 times, not 1,000, maybe 500 times on this show. Yeah. You've got to get out the ECHR.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Gary, about the European Convention on Human Rights, we need to get out of it, but you should not make the mistake of feeling that us leaving the ECHR will immediately cure the migrant crisis. But it is the crucial first step. If we don't leave the ECHR, we will never solve the migrant crisis. Labour don't seem to realise this, and for Keir Starmer, human rights lawyer, ECHR, all about human rights, for him this is sacrosanct, this is sacred. He will never let us leave the ECHR, therefore Labour will never cure or solve the migrant crisis, right?
Yeah, they absolutely do understand it. That's the point. And that's why they won't do it. The whole thing is a sham. They don't want to stop the boats. You have to understand that as a start point. They don't want to stop the boats. What they want to do is stop people protesting outside of hotels.
Yeah, you're right.
They think that's the problem.
I think to be fair, Gary, they would like to stop the boats if they could do it on their own terms, which would be like they're doing now, tinkering around the edges, ridiculous one-in, one-out deals. They would like their pathetic little plans and their pathetic little schemes to actually work. But of course, we in the real world know that their pathetic little plans stand no chance whatsoever. Shabana Mahmood is destined to be the new Yvette Cooper, as in useless and ineffective. I wish her all the best, but I have no confidence whatsoever. She doesn't want to leave the ECHR, therefore she doesn't want to solve the migrant crisis. Simple as that. Gary, good to talk to you. Gary in Leicestershire. Let's talk to someone else who wants to talk about Shabana Mahmood. That's Caroline in London. Hello, Caroline. What would you like to say? Caroline?
Welcome back, Kevin.
Hi. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Shabana Mahmood, whatever her name is.
That is her name.
We've got real problems here.
Yes,
she has voted 19 times against strict migrant rules. She voted against the Nationality and Borders Act from Priti Patel. She's been on protests for Palestine. Yeah. She's called all white English men holding the British flag far right racist. She's done that. She's got videos of it. We have got this is becoming a really, really just dangerous place. And but I have got one hope. I actually don't think Labour are going to last to 2029. And but she's a nightmare. I mean, you can, you know, and also
I should say in her defence, Caroline, I don't think she's ever said that all white men who carry a flag are
in her area.
I don't think she's ever said all men who carry a flag are far right racist.
No,
but I know what you mean. She leans in that kind of direction. She's classic Labour, isn't she?
Yeah, but the other thing I want to talk about, she is Muslim, very, you know, quite a religious Muslim, and if she goes against Muslims, who knows, there'll be a fatwa against her, but also she will not ban the Muslim Brothers.
Well, we should stress, Caroline, she's not our first Muslim Home Secretary. She's our first female Muslim Home Secretary. And I think, to be fair to her, we should give her the benefit of the doubt in terms of her own religion. I'm sure she wants to do her job as well as she thinks she can. The trouble is, most of the foundation stones of what she's talking about are just useless. You know, we're not going to leave the ECHR. Well, you're not going to cure the crisis then, are you? Simple as that.
No, but why won't she ban the Muslim Brothers when many Muslim countries have banned them, apart from maybe Qatar and a few others? She won't ban them, and they are the main head of all these terrorist groups.
Let's see which direction she goes in with that now. She's got the bit. Well, I'm not arguing with you, Caroline. I share your concerns, but let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's see how she gets on. But as I say, so far, I would say the signs are that Shabana Mahmood is going to be every bit as useless as Yvette Cooper, and I can't say worse than that. I mean, not leaving the ECHR, coming up with this, the one-in, one-out scheme with France has been so successful. In 2 months, we haven't got a single migrant out, but we have let 4,600 in. Let's extend that to Germany. Yeah, great plan, Shabana. See what I mean? Everything she's said so far is an indication we're going to get more of the same from Labour, which means they will not solve the migrant crisis. Turn the boats round or detain and deport. Tell people that when you come across the channel illegally, you're not allowed to claim asylum. You have to go back. Simple as that. If they started doing that, if that message got out, then we'd be going some way towards solving the migrant crisis. But all the noises Shabana Mahmood has made so far are the same as everybody else's noise in the Labour Party. That is toothless, hopeless and useless. It's not going to happen.
Completely agree with you. Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, Caroline, it's really good to talk to you. Thank you very much for ringing. Keep in touch. Always good to talk to you. That's Caroline in London. Now, let me know what you think about what we were discussing there. As I say, I'm trying to be fair here. It's not normally in my nature. I'm a very unfair person. But seriously, I'm trying to cut Shabana Mahmood some slack. She's only just got the job. And, you know, anybody who's patriotic about this country, I wish her all the best. I hope she solves the migrant crisis. I hope she sorts out the mess that is the Home Office. But do you think she will? Do you think the signs are good? I don't think they are. Good luck to her, but so far, so bad. 0344 499 1000. When we come back, this is an extraordinary story. Kathy Lartman, she's a former police superintendent in Wales. She's retired now. Coppers knocked on her door and told her she could be guilty of a hate crime. What was her hate crime? Her alleged hate crime? Some one of these trans women, as they call them, some bloke who wants to be a woman called Frida, calls himself Frida. Kathy referred to Frida on Twitter as Fred. The cop said, "That's a potential hate crime. You have dead named Frida. You have dead named Frida. Fred is her dead name." That's not an offence. What is going on with the police? We'll talk to Kathy, a former superintendent who knows a lot about the police and I think dates back to when the cops were a little bit more sensible. We'll talk to Kathy next, so stay tuned.
Keir Starmer's first tweet today was about the not today. It was first tweet yesterday. Tens of millions of phones were successfully sounded across the country during today's emergency alert test. Did your phone go off, Jacob?
No, of course it didn't. I switched it off. It's all frightful nonsense. The problem with government warnings is that they'll be giving me a warning the moment that I'm standing in the sun and I should put sun cream on. They start well-intentioned and for major issues, and soon they warn you there'll be a gust of wind.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Frankly, this is one of those stories that I still find to be jaw-dropping, breathtaking, that this is going on in Britain. British police forces, they used to be a bastion of sensibleness, common sense. Now they're barking crazy. This is the story of Cathy Larkman, who served with the South Wales Police Force for more than 3 decades, rising to the exalted rank of superintendent. She was shocked not so long ago to be called upon at her home near Port Talbot in South Wales on September the 4th. Coppers, came to her house and said she was being investigated for a potential hate crime. The hate crime was this. 10 months they investigated this. There's some bloke in a dress who calls himself Frida. And Cathy Larkman, referred to him on social media as Fred. The police said, well, you dead named him, and that's a hate crime. I mean, really? It's not a hate crime. Well, South Wales Police, after 10 months, 10 months investigation, have said, actually, the criminal threshold has not been reached here. It's not a crime. Of course it's not a crime. If a bloke in a dress calls himself Frida, and I want to call him Fred, it's not against the law to do it. You know, you might say, well, you know, what the hell, you want to be called Frida, I'll call you Frida. But if I want to call him Fred, I'll call him Fred. So should Cathy. So welcome to the show, Cathy Larkman, former superintendent, now one of the directors of the Women's Rights Network. Cathy, welcome.
Hi, Kev. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, this is quite, as a former copper, a senior copper, you know, I still find, you know, you must find this shocking. I still find this shocking that coppers are turning up on people's doors and saying, 10 months ago, there's this bloke in a dress and he wants to call himself Frida and you called him Fred. You're under arrest. I mean, what is going on? What is going on? Why does it take them 10 months, the South Wales Police that you used to work for, to realise this is not a crime?
Oh, goodness. I mean, there is so much to this story. When the officers called on me, it was actually still being investigated as an active crime. And the crime that they cited was an allegation of malicious communications. Now, as you quite correctly say, they'd been investigating this for 10 months. The allegation had been made in November of last year. And I'll come back to that because I sort of knew that allegation had been made because the person who made the allegation, which wasn't Frida, by the way, it was another individual, had been boasting about the fact that they'd reported to me online. And I tried to find out via a subject access request to South Wales Police and had a very cagey response to them. And obviously 3 decades of policing sort of told me that there was something up. So when they rocked up at my door, it was a shock. But I'd had a bit, you know, I felt like it had been coming really, and that I'd sensed it was coming because of the boasts that had been made. So there were 3 tweets. 2 of them were from September 2024. So at the time of reporting, they were already 2 months old. One of them was actually from November 2022. So it was 2 years old at the time that I was reported. And that particular one, I referred the individual as Frida on it and basically corrected them on a point of law around strip searching. Yeah. The other two from September related to me just saying, you know, put the drink down, Fred, or Fred has blocked me, so I'm going to block Fred back. And that was it. You know, as you say, I've been in policing for over 3 decades. I was very, very proud to be a police officer, very proud to serve the public, and I'm still very proud of that fact as well. Police officers do not sign up for this. It's absolutely ridiculous. There is a very high bar in relation to malicious communications, usually threatening, grossly offensive or indecent. And to suggest this came even near a low bar is a ridiculous suggestion.
How many coppers turned up at your house, Kathy?
There were two officers turned up. I wasn't in at the time. They left details with a family member and I called them back and spent a long time discussing it with them. I'll be quite honest, Kev, I laughed at the suggestion.
But it is ridiculous.
And you know, they were very open with me. I sort of sensed their embarrassment and their frustration that they were having to deal with this. And in fact, one of their first statements to me were, we hate having to deal with this.
Yeah, this is what happens every time. You know, a colleague of mine, Alison Pearson at the Telegraph, 2 coppers turn up to her house last Remembrance Sunday morning, 9:30.
Yeah,
she answered the door. Well. She answered the door in her dressing gown, and they were all, I'm really sorry to have to do this, but. Now, what I would say is, you former senior copper, we had, for example, Sir Mark Rowley, the Met Police Chief, the Chief Constable of the Met Police here in London, saying this week, oh, well, Graham Linehan, you know, the Father Ted creator, we had no choice. We had to arrest him at the airport. We had no choice. Yes, you did have a choice. Just don't bother. Just don't bother. Right?
Officers have discretion. You know, to suggest that they had no choice is absolute poppycock. Yeah. And it's I found it quite offensive reading Mark Rowley's statement, along with the suggestion that he be allowed to put forward suggestions to Parliament on how to resolve this. This is a failure of police leadership, because unfortunately this weakness where officers are running round and allowing themselves to be weaponised by bad faith actors, because it was certainly a bad faith actor in this case, has been baked into the system and allowed to happen by senior police leadership who are not taking responsibility for that now and blaming everybody other than themselves. It's not good enough. Absolutely right. They blame politicians. That's what Mark Rowley did. Oh, it's the politicians' fault. We don't have any choice. Every single day, thousands of Rowley's officers and officers all over the country make the decision not to investigate, for example, car thefts, bicycle thefts, shoplifting. They make these decisions all the time. So when Rowley said, we have no choice, we are legally bound to arrest Graham Linehan at the airport, yes, you've got every choice. Here's what Rowley should have done. I bet you'd have done this when you were a top cop. Just don't bother. Let him come into the country. Don't waste police time. Don't waste taxpayers' money, right? Well, if you're prepared to sort of stand up and take the promotions and wear that rank on your shoulders, you have to be prepared to take the decisions and justify them, and to back up your officers as well when it's needed. Not to have them scurrying around, wasting valuable officer time dealing with complete and utter rubbish. You know, when I reflected on what happened after I finished laughing, I was actually really, really cross, because I just thought, you know, I'm an ex-officer. I've served at every rank up to superintendent. I've been frontline throughout all of my service. But if I'd been a regular member of the public, receiving a phone call from a family member that 2 officers have knocked on their door and they're investigating you for a crime, you know, I'd have been terrified. You know, it would have had a profound effect on me. And that makes me angry, really, in respect to the public, because that's just not good enough. Yeah, my essential point here, Kathy, let me know if you agree, I sense you might, is that too many top cops, chief constables all over the country, have allowed, probably with their encouragement, their forces, their coppers, to become woke enforcement officers. They seem very keen on pursuing that, but if you get your car nicked, they can't even be bothered to talk to you. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, 100%, you know, and there are so many examples of this, you know, from the Women's Rights Network point of view. We've been dealing with chief officers signing off policies allowing male officers to self-identify and to strip search in women contrary to the law. So there's an ideological capture of policing at the very top that unfortunately rots down and means that officers at the very bottom who are being trained into you know, a particular sort of mindset are too frightened to make decisions then, because they know they will not have the backup further up the line really to challenge those as well. You know, it really is a situation where policing needs to be reviewed now, and you know, everything that police officers do really needs to be reviewed, and we need to decide what our priorities actually are.
My last point, Kathy, is this, that police forces, coppers, frontline coppers, top coppers, chief constables need to be told that it is not an offence to be offensive. It is not a crime to offend someone, and yet they seem to feel it is.
Well, the malicious communications offence that they rocked up at my door for specifically mentions in all the advice how important your Article 10 rights to freedom of expression are before you make any decisions in relation to this. You know, that's a very, very important principle, our right to free expression, and should be protected at all costs, because, you know, otherwise we're just walking into a dystopia.
Absolutely. We need people like you, Kathy. Let's keep in touch. Good to talk to you. Kathy Larkman there, former superintendent copper, investigated for an alleged hate crime. What a load of nonsense. 0344 499 1000. And it is Kinsey Schofield on Prince Harry next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the final hour of tonight's Political Asylum. In just a second, I'm going to go across to Los Angeles and talk to the great Kinsey Schofield. Much royal topics to discuss. Got to talk about Prince Harry. He's in London making jokes about difficult relationships with your siblings. He knows all about that. I also want to talk about Meghan's As Ever brand. A big piece in the Daily Mail on Saturday echoing what I've been saying by Jan Muir. She says, and I keep asking Kinsey, I said, who the hell buys this stuff? Who's going to buy marmalade for $9? Who wants to buy rosé wine for $100 and so on and so forth? They're really expensive, very mundane products. That's my point. I kept saying it's so mundane. Who's going to spend a fortune on this cheap stuff you can buy next door at your grocery store? You know, in about 3 seconds, as opposed to waiting 3 months for it to turn. It's ridiculous. Anyway, questions are being asked about As Ever. How much longer can it go on, despite what she says? I just don't get it. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Harry and his visit to London. I just wanted to put something out there. François Bayrou is the French Prime Minister. He went to the French Parliament today asking for a vote of confidence. He lost it, so he's gone. My question really, I mean, I'm just sort of putting this out there. I'm not expected to get many calls on it. I don't understand why French Prime Ministers or French politicians go to the French Parliament and say, can I have a vote of confidence? Because every single time they lose. They always lose the votes of confidence. France, if you think Britain's a basket case, hop across the channel, you know, the other direction from the migrants. Go to France. Now, there you are talking lunatic asylum. You really, really are. Macron's got to go. Macron has to go very, very soon. France. There's a reckoning coming. There's a reckoning coming here as well, I think. But anyway, listen, your calls in half an hour or so. Don't forget the migrant crisis. You want to talk about Shabana Mahmood? Is she going to solve it? No. Let me know what you think. What about Angela Rayner? Isabel Oakeshott saying earlier, she doesn't think she should be investigated by the police. I'll go along with that, I suppose. But I think it's very murky. What she's been up to, and I think we should be told. I think there's a lot more we need to know about Angela Rayner's labyrinthine property arrangements. They are extraordinary. They don't pass the smell test, do they? What do you think about Angela Rayner? I mean, you know, never mind about Edmund. It's a colossus, absolute colossus of the Labour. What a loss. No. She did something sordid and wrong. That's why she's gone. Let me know what you think about Ange. Also, this judge, Sir Robert J., wishing one of the architects of the 7/7 bombing atrocity here in London all the best. Wish you all the best. Good luck. It must have been horrible for you being in an American jail. Come on. It's a terrorist. He's a bomber. For God's sake, treat him accordingly. If you must release him, release him. Don't treat him like an honoured guest. God's sake, the judges in this country, we've got a problem. Let me know what you think. 03444 499 1000. And who would you like to be the new deputy leader of the Labour Party, insofar as any of us give a flying toss? But it might be funny if we end up with a candidate that Keir Starmer hates, and I think we may well do. As I said earlier in the show, loads and loads of people in the Labour Party, the Parliamentary Labour Party, now 90% of them hate Keir's guts, and they want to, as they put it, F him up. So who would you like to see as the new deputy leader of the Labour Party with a view to screwing Keir Starmer up, he said diplomatically. All that, 0344 499 1000. We will talk later. It's good to talk on Talk. In the meantime, oh my God, I haven't spoken to her for now 2.5 weeks or something awful like that. She is the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, and strangely enough, her name is Kinsey Schofield. Welcome, Kinsey. How you been?
Kev, are you wearing the tie because you just celebrated your anniversary with such a gorgeous lady?
I'm afraid I'm not. This is a black tie. I've been at James Whale's funeral.
You know what? James Wales loves love. So
yeah. Well, I'm wearing this because I've dedicated the show to him, and I thought, I'll keep the gear on. I could have taken the tie off, but it was a lovely.
Well, you look very handsome.
Thank you very much. That's why I wore it. No, it was a lovely service. Really good send off. I never realised he's a very keen archer. Bows and arrows. So when we all stood around the grave as the coffin was being laid in, there were archers firing arrows into the sky. It was very impressive.
Oh my gosh!
Very impressive.
Oh, he was a modern day Cupid, our James. So sweet that he loved that.
Yeah, no, really. It was a great service. And here's to you, James. As I say, we've got another 45 minutes or so to go, but this show is for James Wales.
He would be very angry with us because he liked to defend Meghan Markle. So we should just get that out of the way.
Yeah. Well, let's have a go at Meghan Markle just to annoy him. I always did like annoying old James. Well, first of all, though, let's talk about Harry. Harry is in London, beginning this 4-day visit. He's been to this Well Child event, a decent charity that he supports. He's been chatting with some of the kids and making jokes about the awkward relationships you can have with siblings. Perhaps not a good topic of conversation for old Ginger Nuts, given the circumstances. No sign of him seeing his dad yet, no sign of him seeing William. I don't think there's no chance whatsoever William will see him. There's an outside chance his dad, the King, might see him. But your thoughts so far on this visit?
Did you see the Times piece where Prince Harry's friends openly spoke out about how he wants to spend more time in the UK and there are security concerns? Now, he, according to his friends, admits that he should not have sued the government. His friends say that he now regrets that and realizes that was not the proper protocol. However, they say he's still quietly campaigning to get the security that he was fighting for.
Give it up, Harry! Give it up!
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, to me, that was just all more propaganda coming from Harry and Meghan's new PR team. You know this, I think you've said this on my show. Prince Harry can return to the UK whenever he chooses. We know specifically that Buckingham Palace has been offered to him on more than one occasion to stay at when he's in the UK. Can you come up with a more safe space? But he's declined to use it. In most cases, he's provided the level of protection he asked for, I'd say 9 times out of 10. The real sticking point, in my opinion, is control. He dislikes having to give Ravik 28 days notice, and he doesn't want to have to share his itinerary with them so that they can assess the appropriate security detail. If he follows that protocol, and there are credible threats that exist, protection is extended to him, absolutely. And of course, they're going to protect his wife and children. I feel like specifically with that article, it was less about really expressing safety concerns and more about a convenient excuse for Meghan to not have to be there and to gain public sympathy. These are the consequences of his own choices. The royal family specifically said during Megxit negotiations, you lose your security, you lose this regular security, and he opted to leave anyway, to pursue Hollywood.
So at this Well Child bash today in London, he spoke to a teenager called 17, name of Declan Bitmead. He's won the Inspirational Young Person of the Year award. So Harry quizzed him about his family, and Declan replied, "I've got a brother." And Harry responded, "Does he drive you mad?" When Declan replied, "No, we get on fine," Harry replied, "You know what? Siblings." But I would say, he's trying to make light of it, but his feud with his brother is not light-hearted. It's very profound. If there's an outside chance that he sees the King during this trip, and I do think it's outside, it's not likely, I don't think, but he may just see the King, but there's no chance he'll see William. William is in no mood to bury the hatchet, and I don't think he ever will be.
How has Prince William given him Prince William can't drive Prince Harry mad because he's refused to talk to him at least for the last 3 years. I don't think they've spoken since the King's coronation, maybe 2 years. I don't think they've spoken since the King's coronation. And I can't even guarantee that they spoke at the coronation. The last time we actually really saw them engaging with each other was perhaps when the Queen passed away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Prince Harry's not even on Prince William's radar. He's got a packed schedule this week. He's going to be out and about. We saw him today at a women's center with the Princess of Wales. And I think Prince William is trying to protect his peace and protect his wife. She had a horrible year last year. She had a horrible week last week because of all the nasty people online. discussing her physical appearance. And he just knows that Prince Harry brings drama.
Yeah. Again, the king, it's his 3 years since he became, since the Queen passed away. And so this is a 3-year celebration of the King's reign. There were gun salutes here in London today. But on this 3-year anniversary, I suspect, we don't know yet, Harry's got 3 days or so still to go of this visit. I suspect that the King will not see him, which will confirm. See, Harry's got this plan now. He's desperate to rehabilitate himself in the minds of the British public. If you're listening, Harry, or you're watching, you've got a long way to go. But that's what he wants to do. So he's trying to sort of make light of everything that happened over the last few years, the last 5 years since Megxit. And his crimes, though, his offences, you know, in terms of calling the royal family racist, you know, having a go at Catherine, having a go at William and so on. And the rest of the family, particularly the Queen Camilla. He's had a really called her the villain of the story, didn't he? I mean, his crimes in the verbal grenades that he's hurled at the royal family are profound, aren't they? You can't just go, oh, well, that was all in the past. Let's kiss and make up. That's what I don't think he realises. He doesn't realise the depth of the pain that he caused to the royal family with his careless talk to various TV interviewers.
Oh, I completely agree with you. He wants us to all have the memory of a goldfish. You know, because around the time of the Queen's passing, we're going to be reminded of some of these stories, like in the Daily Beast, about how Prince William sat in a jet, waiting for word on whether or not Prince Harry was actually going to be going with them, because there was a tug of war going on behind the scenes between Prince Harry and King Charles, with Harry demanding that Meghan be allowed to attend, and the King saying, no, absolutely not. We hear a little bit about this in Spare, about how, you know, the King lays out why he doesn't want Meghan Markle to attend, and Prince Harry says, don't talk about my wife this way, and then the King breaks down and says, well, Catherine's not coming. But certain members of the royal family missed their goodbye to Queen Elizabeth because they sat on a tarmac trying to figure out what was going on with Prince Harry, because Prince Harry was in the background pitching a fit over Meghan Markle not being able to attend when Catherine was staying behind. So certain members of the royal family did not get those last moments with Queen Elizabeth because they were waiting for this very selfish, allegedly, individual. And then finally, Prince Harry booked his own way there, and the family took off. So those stories are going to circulate around this time every year. Prince Harry can show up at Windsor Castle unannounced and you know, say what he wants to say to the Queen. But we've heard through Sally Bedell Smith, and you know, at her memorial, we've heard from Sally Bedell Smith through Lady Elizabeth Anson over the last few months that the Queen was really unhappy with Prince Harry, that there was an element of betrayal there. She felt excluded from their wedding. She couldn't believe their behavior. She was disappointed by the fact that Harry could just give up his duty, you know, the duty that kept the Queen motivated.
Absolutely, for abrogation of duty. Now, let's talk about the King. I want to talk about as ever in a little while, but just briefly about the King. I mean, he's being pulled from all sides here. Now, the King, we know, Charles, hates confrontation, and he, I think, would like to heal this family rift, this family feud, if he could. However, he's being pulled from all directions. Harry wants a peace pact, but William has been telling the King, we know this, I don't want any peace with that guy after what he's done. So the King will defer to William. Also, of course, Camilla, the Queen. Camilla's saying to Charlie, look, you know, he was horrible about me. he called me the villain of the story. He was disgraceful about me and, in fact, the rest of the family in that nasty little book Spare. So Camilla's not keen on the reunion either. So the king, I think, will defer to his wife and his eldest son, the future king. Therefore, I suspect, I mean, I may well be proved wrong in the next couple of days, but I suspect some kind of meeting with the king is a long shot.
Well, I brought up that piece in the Times that ran over the weekend prior to Prince Harry landing, and you and I have discussed this as well. You know, I think I think less of it is about what Harry has said about Queen Camilla and more about Queen Camilla trying to protect King Charles. And I think that that's why Prince Harry is rarely left. I had Hugo Vickers tell me the Queen never wanted to be left alone with Harry and Meghan. They wanted something from her. Or they remember when they rolled up to Windsor with a professional Vogue photographer, and she said absolutely not. So Hugo says that the Queen never wanted to be left alone with them. She was afraid of what they were going to try to get out of her. I believe the same goes for King Charles, and that's why Queen Camilla is always there with King Charles, because she's this buffer. She's there to protect him. And there's the story that circulated a few years ago of the Queen saying to King Charles, or Prince Charles at the time, why, Queen Elizabeth, why won't you take Harry's calls? He's calling me. And we even found out over the weekend that Harry tried to provide the Queen with like a rogue cell phone so he could get in contact with her directly.
Really? That's extraordinary.
I guess like he felt like she was being held hostage or something. Apparently Prince Andrew's done something similar where they want a direct line to her, and she's like, what am I going to do with this? And it just ends up in one of her employees' top drawers. But you know, King Charles, Prince Charles at the time, says to Queen Elizabeth, I'm not a bank, I'm not an ATM. You know, Harry always wants something. And the reason I bring up that article about from the Times is because, again, this is Harry campaigning for security. This is Harry campaigning for sympathy. And in Harry not getting his way, the king looks like a villain. Now, if he does see Prince Harry and Harry has the opportunity to confront him about the security situation, which they have not spoken about since before the BBC interview that Harry gave, where he accuses this of being some stitch up against him and saying somebody's out to get him in the Ravik committee. They have not spoken about this since then. If the king says anything to Harry about this, he risks Harry repeating it and him looking like the villain, and this, you know, the headlines, the chaos surrounding these headlines starting all over again.
Yeah, and Harry indicating, you know, through friends, the usual sources in the last month or so, that he's really keen to bring his kids over to the country to show them where he grew up, to show them his home country. Well, what was it, a few months back, you know, after he lost the court case for his own security when he comes to Britain, there he was saying, well, look, that means I can never bring my kids to Britain. I can never do it. They've prevented me from bringing my family to Britain. Now all of a sudden he's been letting it known that he desperately wants to bring them. There's no consistency with this guy. He's like a little kid, isn't he?
He truly is. And I think that that's one of the reasons King Charles doesn't want to deal with him, because he is like a little kid. What are you going to ask me for? What are you going to want from me? I have cancer. I'm just trying to keep the peace. I'm just trying to heal my body. Every day I'm trying to wake up and do something great. And, you know, what does Harry, I'm sure he feels like Harry's clawing at him, wanting something. And that's why I don't care how
money, that's what he wants.
Yeah. Right. And I don't care how many nice, you know, if Harry getting back into charity, okay, great. You know, I'm under the impression too little too late. Too much damage has been done and too much hurt towards the Queen, you know, not just during the wedding, but towards the end of her life. As the Queen lie dying, she had the Netflix series and Spare, you know, haunting her dreams. She had no idea what was on the horizon, but she knew it wasn't good based on Harry and Meghan's bitterness, vengefulness, based on the Oprah interview alone.
Yeah, those two made the Queen's last year painful, and millions of people won't forgive them for that. Let's talk about Meghan now. Let's talk about As Ever. I don't know if you read the Daily Mail on Saturday, was it? A big piece by Jan Muir. I thought about you. Well, I think about you a lot, obviously, Kinsey, but I thought about you as I read that. And It's exactly what I've been telling you. So Jan Muir said, what is this business? What is it? You know, who the hell is going to spend, you know, what's the new thing, $9 on a jar of marmalade, $14 on a jar of jam? You know, she made the point that I always make to you, Kinsey, which is this, that these products are incredibly mundane. They're just mundane kitchen products. They're jam, cookie mix. Okay, we've got some wine now, but that's very overpriced. So they're incredibly mundane domestic kitchen products priced astronomically. So your chance to buy a jar of marmalade for $9 when in any grocery store you can get it for $2. Jan Muir makes the point. She said, who buys this stuff? And even if anybody does buy it, who's going to buy it again? My point that I keep making to you, I see no future in this business. I don't understand this business. Am I right?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there's something. First of all, I just had this conversation over the weekend because somebody was like, "What? Why jam? Why jam?" I don't understand because she wasn't making jam during her TIG days. Everybody's like, "Oh, as ever, throw back to her TIG days." No, what she's doing is she's looking at what's in the gift shops at King Charles's estates.
Yes.
And she's literally just throwing her ugly calligraphy on a package. And she's assuming that we're going to be the same, you know, like stupid enough to go, this is the Duchess of Sussex's. No, girlfriend. That is made in some nasty factory in Illinois or whatever. Meghan Markle is not sitting there making this in her own kitchen in Montecito. It's not the same when you go to a King Charles estate. This is fruit picked from, you know, his trees. You know, these are teas that are crafted and cultivated in his own, you know, country, in his own place, you know, on his own land.
By the way, Kinsey, also the King and now Prince William's produce from the Duchy of Cornwall. I mean, it's not renowned for being that cheap, but it's not sort of...
But it goes to charity. Yeah. It goes to charity.
But it's not ludicrously expensive. I would say that that Meghan stuff is ludicrously expensive. And, you know, I know I've made this point many times, but it was like sort of music to my eyes as I read Jan Muir's piece. Exactly what I've been saying is this, you know, why would you, you know, fill out a form online, put your credit card in and send off for a jar of marmalade for $9?
And then get the email saying that she doesn't have the product, Kev. Not just...
You say that. The marmalade is the first produce that didn't sell out. But my point is, after you've ordered it, you know, you've got to wait 3 months till it turns up. Whereas... you could nip next door to your local grocery store, buy it for a fraction of the price. All of her produce you can buy at 7-Eleven right now, cheap, and be drinking and eating it in 5 minutes. Why fill out a form, put your card in, wait 3 months, and pay through the nose for it? It doesn't make any business sense whatsoever.
No, I look at people like Hailey Bieber, who is trolled online, mega trolled online. She, you know, Selena Gomez fans, Justin Bieber fans attack this girl. And you know, what happened with Hailey is that she made a legitimately good product when it comes to road beauty, whether it's her lip gloss or her skincare products. It's legitimately good. Everyone that tried, I've never heard somebody go, this is the best rosé I've ever had in my life, or this is the best loose fruit spread I've ever had. And everybody's like, it's okay. Like, it's all right. I mean, like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you want to be weird and have a niche or a niche, as you guys say over there, then it's got to be the very best. It has to be ultimately the most delicious, the most gorgeous, and you can't screw up. You can't you can't be emailing clients, you know, 48 hours after their order to be like, just kidding. Thanks for your credit card information, but I don't actually have the product available. You know, I just want to go throw it back to November 2024. When someone from Team Meghan leaked to Page 6 that 2025 was going to be the year of the Markle Sparkle. Failed podcast. One, okay, we'll pretend it was successful. successful season of With Love, Meghan. Season 2 bombed out the floor. I mean, no one watched season 2. Tomorrow, Meghan's team goes to court with Samantha Markle because
really? I didn't realize that.
her about defamation. So we'll see what comes out of that. This has not been the year of the Markle sparkle. I mean, she had to completely rebrand American Riviera Orchard to As Ever, and it's been problem after problem when it's come to As Ever. Not having enough inventory, the worm in the video with her cookies.
Oh yeah, that wasn't great, was it?
I mean, it's just like, this has been, in my personal opinion, a nightmare year for Meghan.
That's an indication, the worm is an indication of her amateurishness. There's a very amateur feeling about this. And I think you're right, Kinsey. I think that what she was looking for was a range of products, to sell on the back of her allegedly popular name. She didn't really come up with much of any stature, nothing much she could come up with, so it ended up being jam and cookie mix. I mean, come on.
Well, and don't forget, she said during her Times 100 sit down that it was Netflix that brought her this idea because she naturally was giving everyone jam and she's like, yes, so and so from Netflix said that this was the direction I should go. Yeah, but it's always like she threw that out there because she did not want to be blamed if it failed. And
that's a good point. Yeah, laying the blame off to someone else. I'll tell you one thing though, Kinsey. As Ever won't last forever. In fact, I don't predict it's going to last too much longer. I just don't get it. I never did. All my suspicions confirmed in this excellent piece in the Daily Mail. I don't think it's going anywhere. Kinsey, really great to talk to you again. You'll be back on Thursday. I am glad we have restored our conversations. Always good to talk to you. Thank you so much. Kinsey Schofield there, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. She'll be back on Thursday for more of the same. By the way, I was at James Wales's funeral and about 3 people came up to me and said, oh yeah, I love your stuff on Meghan. So I think we're hitting the spot with it. Anyway, let's go to break now, and when we come back, time for your calls. I don't know if we've got any WhatsApp voice notes. Let's see. Also, I've got plenty of messages. So you from now on all the way until 10 o'clock when I think Johnny Gould will be taking over the helm of the Good Ship Talk and taking you through into the small hours, 1 a.m., 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. That next. Stay tuned.
Keir Starmer's first tweet today was about the, not today, it was first tweet yesterday. Tens of millions of phones were successfully sounded across the country during today's emergency alert test. Did your phone go off, Jacob?
No, of course it didn't. I switched it off. It's all frightful nonsense. The problem with government warnings is that they'll be giving me a warning a moment that I'm standing in the sun and I should put sun cream on. They start well-intentioned and for major issues, and soon they warn you there'll be a gust of wind.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're going to go to the phones in just a second, but first, a few WhatsApp voice notes. First, here's John on Yvette Cooper.
Hello, Kev. Good to have you back. Kev, it's just a quick note on Calamity Cooper. I just want to ask why, if she's done that great a job, why has she been pushed out at it? Words fail me. They really do.
I'll tell you why she's been pushed out, John, is because she hasn't done such a great job. She's done a terrible job. As everybody's been saying, she is the first person in the history of British politics to prove that becoming Foreign Secretary can be a demotion. She was demoted to Foreign Secretary because she'd screwed up being Home Secretary. Shabana Mahmood will probably do the same. Quick one from Trevor on the migrants.
Hi, Kevin. I've got a complaint about you. You keep referring to this one in, one out. Please get it right. It's going to be one out, one in. Because for every one we send to France, they're sending another back. So where's the one in, one out going to happen? Just thought I'd point that one out to you.
Well, Trev, I take your point, but we take one in and they take one in, so we give them one back. Yeah, I mean, it's one in, one out. Doesn't matter which way. You could call it one out, one in if you like, but the real mathematics of it is this. It's 4,600 in, none out. That's the one in, one out scheme so far. Absolute shambles. Right, let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Stephen in Manchester. Hello, Stephen.
Right, mate, I've really missed you, honestly. Right.
Honestly, you must be desperate, mate.
you absolute old curmudgeon. I've really missed you. I love listening to Mike, Julie Hartley-Boyler, the lot, Ian Collins, but I'm getting like withdrawal.
Yeah, well, nobody quite comes up to my level of rage, I think. But
honestly.
Anyway, what would you like to say, Steve?
Well, firstly, how's Chaz, by the way? How did he take Devon and that? Was that good?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I keep making a thing of it, but we have a dog that we cannot leave with anyone else because he's too much of a problem. He really is. Yeah. He loved it down in Cornwall, per se, but his idea of an adventure is a sort of 20-yard walk that takes an hour. So we did a lot of dawdling around with Chaz. So, but anyway, thank you for that. He had a great time.
Good. Listen, I can't stand Harry. Honestly,
Harry? Yeah, I'm not keen on him myself.
Honestly, just go away, stay over there. Don't bother us anymore. We're not interested. You're too old. We don't listen to techno anymore. Do you know what I mean? I just honestly can't stand the guy, and I think he's burnt his bridges as far as I'm concerned. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can't stand him. I feel slightly sorry for him because I think he doesn't quite have the intellect to deal with his station in life. So he's just sort of lost in this world he doesn't really understand. But that notwithstanding, I kind of agree with you. He's very, very annoying. But you wanted to talk. You want to talk about Angela Rayner?
Well, yeah, I kind of sort of feel a bit sorry for her. I really admire what she did, and I've listened to you and Mikey Mike on the Thought Police a lot of times, actually paying a lot of respect to her, but also taking the mickey out of her. And I just think it's pretty sad, really, what's going on.
Well, it might be sad, Stephen, but she lied. She just lied.
Yeah.
She's got very, very suspiciously complicated property arrangements. And when you're a politician, you should try and do things as straightforwardly as possible. She's done the opposite. And here's the deal. She says, I should have got proper advice about stamp duty. That was my mistake. That wasn't what she originally said. Her original excuse was this: I was given bad legal advice. I acted on that bad legal advice. It was the legal advisors, it was the lawyer's fault. And then when pressed on this, I always said, Steve, that when these lawyers surface, they're going to deny this. And sure as hell they did. Turned out she took no legal advice at all, or at least she says that.
Who's going to take over from? So the girl that was done for the phone fraud?
Well, Louise Haigh apparently fancies her chances to be deputy Labour.
How can that even happen, mate? I mean, why?
Because it's the Labour faithful. The Labour faithful will vote for her. They like these lefties. They like these lefties. It's Labour. It's a clown show. It's a clown show. Listen, Stephen, I've got to move on, but keep in touch, mate. Good to talk to you. Stephen in Manchester. Let's go to break, take some more calls when we come back. Stay where you are.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. WhatsApp voice note. Here's Ray on the Cabinet Reshuffle.
Who runs this country? I was gobsmacked earlier when you said Ed Miliband was looked at being moved and refused to go. Who the hell does he think he is? If your bosses came to you and said, well, you're not doing this show, you're doing that show, you might have a bit of a moan, but you'd have to do it.
But the point about Ray, thank you for that, that's a good one. But the point about Ed Miliband is that if you look into the Labour faithful, the Labour list and all that, and they keep a chart of the most popular cabinet ministers. Number 2 by a country mile was Angela Rayner. She's gone. But the top guy every single time, by absolutely miles, is Ed Miliband, which gives you a window into the tortured psyche of the Labour Party, that they are in thrall to left-wing lunatics like Ed Miliband, absolute maniac. But they love him because he's an absolute left-wing maniac. Simple as that. He's got the left love him. Keir Starmer too scared to stand up to Miliband because if he does, he loses the support of the left, and he needs that. All Labour Party leaders need to somehow keep the left under control. So Angela Rayner used to be Keir Starmer's conduit to the left. She's gone. now it's Ed Miliband. That's why Ed Miliband tells Keir Starmer what to do as opposed to the other way round. And we know about that, don't we? Windmills, solar farms, hopelessly incoherent, ludicrous energy policies that cost us more than anyone else. While I was away, of course, the energy prices went up again. You know, when are they going to come down, Ed? You told us they were going to come down by £300 a year. So far, they've gone up by about £300 a year, and they keep on going up thanks to your absolutely crazy policies, you lunatic. There you go. Let's go to Peter in Croydon. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Kevin. Nice to see you back, mate.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, 2 quick points. No, I don't feel sorry for Rayner at all. I can see straight through her. Yeah, 2 quick points. 2, I disagree with Isabel. She should get a knock on the door by the police because she's committed.
Allegedly, she could have, I think, committed fraud. You know, like she should have paid her stamp duty. She may be able to maintain that was an honest mistake. She lied subsequently, but there you go. All I'm saying, I mean, I take Isabel's point. You know, you don't want to keep calling in the cops every time a politician falls from grace. But, you know, if it was you or me, Peter, and we had tried to dodge £40,000 worth of stamp duty, would we get away with it?
No, we wouldn't. Kevin, this is financial abuse because it happens all the time. I worked in a kiddies home and disabled home down in Sussex, big one.
Yeah.
And they had laws in place to protect children their funds being nicked, you know, and that is financial abuse, and that's what she's done, and that's a criminal offence, Kev.
Well, potentially, allegedly. We've got to be careful here. But I think, I do actually think, if it was me or you, I suspect that the cops might have a look at what we've been up to. There's something extremely dubious about her property arrangements. And I don't think she should be allowed to just sort of depart from her high office with everybody in Labour going, no. She was a colossus. She was a fantastic trades unionist. She's also a liar. She lied. She thinks she's above the law, Kev. Yeah. One last point about the trust fund. Yeah.
Why haven't the trust fund come out and said anything?
Well, it is. You know? I mean, you know, again, it's murky. It's murky. That house got overvalued. They say by mistake, but it certainly gave Angela Rayner a lot of money. She got a portion of the value of that house, and she got more money because it was valued higher than any other property in the area, which I think warrants some investigation. But I take your point, Peter. Maybe she should have a collar felt. Good call. Thank you very much. Call me again, Peter in Croydon. Shall we? We've got time for another call, I think. Let's go to Peter in South Wales. Oh, no, Philip. Hello, Philip.
Hello there, Kev. Nice to see you back.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. Regarding this Angela Rayner affair.
Yes.
Starmer knew the day after she spoke to her lawyers. He knew. So that was 5 or 6 days before he was told, or before he came on telly and said he knew it on the Monday. Also, that when Angela Rayner was interviewed on Beth Rigby's show, he knew then. He knew before the Beth Rigby interview.
Well, I'll tell you something. You say that, Philip, but there's some suggestion that Starmer got rather annoyed with Angela Rayner because he felt that Angela Rayner had sent him out to bat for her without furnishing him with all the details. You know,
absolutely.
So I suspect, in fairness to Starmer, and I don't like to be fair to him, but let's be fair to him, that he was giving his honest version of events, but she had not given him her honest version of events. She never told him that she'd lied about getting bad legal advice. So I did hear through the grapevine that the Prime Minister was not very happy with Angela Rayner in that respect.
Yes. Yeah. The other thing is, I'd like to say, Nigel Farage and the reform, the conference, it was brilliant.
I watched it from afar.
But I disagree with one thing that Nigel said, because I think he's fantastic. He said that a general election could be in 2027.
Yeah.
But I want it in May 26.
I'd like one tomorrow, actually.
Yes. But it's got to take time to get an election sorted. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
With the backbenchers now, Labour backbenchers are going to be fighting, and they're going to try and get him out, Starmer.
Well, they might try, but the Labour Party doesn't have the machinery to do it. The Labour Party is very bad at getting rid of leaders, unlike the Tories, who get rid of them like flies. The Labour has a problem there. But what I think Starmer, or rather Nigel Farage, is referring to when he talks about a 27 election is that is, in his estimation, and Nigel Farage knows about money, he knows about the financial markets, he knows about economics. In his estimation, that is when the government will run out of financial rope. They'll be able to borrow no more money. And if they get to that strait, they'll have to call an election because they're finished. But let's wait and see, Philip. I've got to move on, but good points, and thank you for calling. Call me again. Philip in South Wales there. Let's quickly listen to a last WhatsApp voice note. This is Tristan again on the Cabinet reshuffle.
What Labour are doing, shuffling around the deck chairs around the Titanic or whatever rubbish they're doing the same thing over and over and over. And the definition of his insanity of doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. There's not going to be a different result. Nothing's going to change. And anything that Mahmood wants to actually do, she'll probably have to get the green light from two-tier Keir anyway. So it's absolutely pointless. They are just going to be limping all the way till 2027 or 2029. They're utterly deplorable in every single way. An absolute disgraceful government.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tristan. You're absolutely right. They're just going to carry on doing very little at all. They have no resolve about anything. It's always talk. We've got talks about talks. Shabana Mahmood's going to talk to the Five Eyes nations, America, Canada, New Zealand, all that lot, about people smuggling. What's that going to achieve? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is ridiculous. A couple of messages I've got here. This is from Martin, I think in Whitley Bay, but I think he misunderstands it. He says, military bases for illegals, this will never work. The minute they're cooped up, there's a massive risk they will break out en masse. Who's going to stop them? Do you really see the army opening fire on them to contain the problem? The point is, Martin, they're not going to be locked up. They're not going to be confined to these military bases. It's just the new hotels, if you like. They'll be given places to stay there, beds to sleep in, and then they can walk out anywhere they like. They're not going to be treated like criminals. That may be a mistake. This is from Martin again. Shabana will not sort the boats out, I don't think. I think it will need border force to stop boats on approach and turn them around like Australia does. Yeah, good luck with that, Martin. They'll never do that. This is Andrea. I like this one. Thank God you're back. Thank you, Andrea. I've really missed watching you on Talk. My love to James, family and friends. I miss watching him so much. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, it was a nice service today. We gave old James a very good send-off. Quick last note, this is from Ernie, talking about Sir Robert J, the judge who wished that terrorist, the 7/7 bombing architect, all the best. Is Sir Robert J another member of that cult that wants to make the whole world socialist? I can't think of the name. The one with the sheep in wolves' clothing is as its mascot. Maybe. The Fabian Society. Who knows? Shabana Mahmood. There seems to be some sort of debate. Is she a member? Fabian Society is all the lefty Labour people belong to it. There's 3 Fabian Society people who frighteningly Rachel Reeves has just been brought in to help her with the economy, so that's going to be a disaster. The thing is, Shabana Mahmood, it seems, may be a member of that left-wing organisation. It seems to be up in the air, but we'll have to find out. But if she is, even more indication that she doesn't stand a chance of solving the migrant crisis. Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk to Frank in Bristol. Stay where you are, Frank.
Gloomy, ridiculous, negative prediction. I mean, that's why the country's in such a state, because people don't want to be ambitious, don't want to set a bold target and say we're going to get this done. It's funny, isn't it? But the evidence shows Australia, they literally stopped the boats within just a matter of weeks when they had a pushback policy which was suitable for them. And I think if we have a proper detention and deportation strategy, as we outlined a couple of weeks back, then that will be a huge deterrent.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Talk, where the big question for the production team here, including me, is how the hell do we get home? We have no idea, because the tubes are all down. They've been striking all day. I've had a nightmare. Well, we've all had nightmares. You know, literally taking 4 hours to do 5 miles. You can't get anywhere in this city at the moment. So pray for us. We'll see if we can get home, but God knows how. For me, about an 8-mile walk. Can't wait, can't wait. Fantastic, isn't it? Here's a quick message from Phil. Phil says, some reshuffle. The economy is in the bin, but Reeves stays as Chancellor. Net zero is bankrupting the country, and yet Miliband stays. Can I apply for the one-in, one-out scheme? I know what you mean, Phil, but I wouldn't apply for that because it never works. It doesn't work. Let's quickly take a last call from Frank in Bristol. Hello, Frank.
Hello, Kevin.
You want to talk about the Kathy Larkman, the copper that we spoke to earlier?
Yeah, the police, they seem to be under the ideal that they are a law unto themselves. They can do what they want, when they want, how they want. They can arrest you, me, or anybody else for a non-crime.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, non-crime. Well, non-crime hate incidents. Yeah, they record them, but no one knows why.
Let's throw Ange the Mange into that. Can she not be arrested then for a non-crime?
If indeed it is a non-crime.
Yeah, well, that's right. But there's a potential crime to be debated. So then surely she should be arrested and interrogated, as you or I would be.
Well, it's certainly... I mean, I just feel that it's possible that Angela Rayner is getting kind of special treatment because of who she is.
Oh, of course she is.
You know, and if you or I were so dodgy in our stamp duty affair,